Okay.
All right, I'd like to call to order the special meeting of the Board of Finance. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, tonight, we don't have any departments, we're just gonna go through things. I think I got a text today from an ex-chairman of the Board of Ed, saying we have no right to discuss programs in the Board of Ed. We have no rights to discuss their line items. We have no rights to review their budget. Our strict responsibility to the town is affordability. And we need to choose a number based on affordability. So when we're discussing the Board of Ed budget tonight and tomorrow night, it has to be based on affordability, not what projects we think we can afford, not what things we think we can afford, strictly a number that we feel that we can sustain and that we can manage down the road 3-4 years from now for sustainability on their budgets. We are not to guide them, we are not to help them. That is not in our purview as Board of Finance. They have their experts on their Board of Ed side, and this is our role. And I have confused you all in my chairman position on our role as a Board of Finance, that we have no fiscal oversight. We need to decide what the town can afford and strictly base our number on that. So as for their line item discretion, shouldn't matter to us. As for them completing their projects on time, shouldn't matter to us. As for us having any financial oversight, shouldn't matter to us. We should strictly stick to what we can afford as a town.
Well, that's an interesting opinion from an anonymous person, so.
I'm just saying,
Appreciate you sharing that.
I'm just putting it out there so it's on the record of
Okay.
this is, and that I have confused you all in our role and
The
responsibilities.
person who's probably watching, I prefer they send some kind of communication to the board as opposed to an anonymous.
No, it wasn't anonymous, it was a text from a person, and I'll just leave it at that. It
It's
wasn't
anonymous
anonymous.
to me.
Yeah, I've just, yes, it wasn't anonymous to me, okay, so,
Okay.
but I think it's in a way, I think it's a fair point.
Some parts of it are very fair.
So I'm not gonna dispute it, but I think when we go into tomorrow night's discussions, I think it's important, we can't talk about, well, we maybe missed the person in the budget, and we gotta do that. That's not our role. Our role is decide affordability, and what can we afford long-term. Now, we talked about that, we've talked about the pressures of their teacher's contract in years 2 and 3. Bob Belden submitted a report on the pressures of that down the road. So I think if you look at it, affordability, we gotta be careful not to stretch ourselves on the budget and make sure that we are within the affordability range. Go ahead, this is open.
Yeah,
to-
no, but if there's a line item that, if not done properly, it's
Not our
gonna
job.
affect us monetarily, or affect them,
Risk management is our job, it's risk
yeah.
management. That's our
I'm
job.
just
I
putting it
wouldn't
out
agree
there.
with you 100%. I agree more with John. So
Okay.
let's say they're doing this new program. I think it's within the purview of this board to ask, how do you think this is gonna work? What do you think the success rate is? Because that does come to affordability. If it falls apart, we're back to spending X number outsourcing. I said this the other night, we have to draw that fine line. We can't tell them how to spend the money, but I
Yeah.
think we do have the right, and you do have the right as a board, to say, I don't quite understand how you're gonna do that. Can you explain that to me? You can't tell them yes or no. You can't, the Board of Selectmen nor the Board of Finance has the authority or the right to tell them how to spend that money.
Correct.
But we can ask questions about it, I think,
Yeah, but if.
when it comes to affordability.
So that's what we've been doing.
Oh, I think we've gone well past that.
Hey,
I
in
think
fairness,
it's
you're
fine.
probably
Yeah,
right.
It's
yeah,
just-
yeah,
I
that
think-
may-
I
I
think
won't.
It's
I
My
think it's
concern
strictly
is years
about-
2 and 3.
Yeah.
That was
Right.
where I
Yeah.
pushed, is I'm looking not in the, and that's where I cross the line, and I'll say it in this meeting, is, but my fear is down the road. And then my fear is what happens when the police station comes on board? What happens when all these things come on board? So you're right, I did push, and I did cross lines, and I'll admit that to a point, but it's like, if we don't think in the future, we're never gonna get there, and you said it right. If we build a program up and the taxpayers vote it down year 3 from now, all these 3 years of money we spent is wasted.
Could be.
But I agree what you're saying, so, yes,
So on
maybe you
that-
crossed the line, but at the same time, you were looking down the
You're
road.
trying to help
trying
them,
figure it
certainly.
out.
When it
Yeah,
comes
yeah, I
down
think
to
it's
it.
very reasonable like we do. We're looking 3 or 4 budgets out,
Right,
right? Really, to the dollars, right? Where we think we're gonna be. I think it's reasonable to say to the Board of Ed, where do you see your budget going over the next 3 years? Given that you have given salary increases, you've asked me on the town side, where do we think we're gonna be? Because that does go to affordability,
Plus,
I think.
when we were talking with the
It's a
superintendent,
fine line.
when we were talking to the superintendent, it seemed to me he was looking also a little bit for our opinion on, and he said he was amenable to scaling back the special ed program. So I mean, we could, in my opinion, I think we can make suggestions, maybe obviously not tell them what to do with their money,
well, you
but
can't, yeah.
make suggestions, and if they wanna fit that in or not, that's in their hands then.
Yeah, and to John's point, he's saying he wants to do this new program, which is risky, and he said that. But if it works, it's gonna save a lot of money. That goes to affordability, and we just wanna understand
Right,
where
but
you're
to
going
Glenn's
with it.
question is, if it doesn't work,
Now,
where does the
if
money
you
come
decide to
from
do it or
if
not
it
do it,
doesn't work?
that's up to you,
That's
Board of Ed.
risk management.
So,
And that's
Right.
what you were pushing back though, so that's why I think it was a perfectly good conversation.
Just putting this conversation out so
Yeah.
we're
so
all on
I'm
the
going-
same
We
page.
got a little bit maybe.
I'm
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
I'll take
Yeah.
that hit, I mean,
Yeah.
I'll take that hit.
I'm gonna, I think it's all of us together, but I think, so I've got the Glen fever in me too, because I woke up last night thinking, what's going on and how do we solve this? And because there is this whole gap. There's a lot of things that's not going right, and we're trying to put it together. And I think I kind of figured it out, and I don't know if, and it's my opinion, not the board's, it's my opinion. I think when you push, so there's strengths and weaknesses, there's good and bad. What's happened in the past couple of years with the Board of Ed is that there's been a lot of public pressure in pushing and saying, and pointing out to what's not going right, but there are things that are going right too. So I feel that as a group, if we work towards collaborative approach, their defenses will come down and we can work together better. And if we work together better, it's great for the town. So, I don't know, I think it's just an approach, it's how we approach it, instead of saying, guys, you're wrong, hey, can we figure out a better way of doing it, or something like that.
I'll put it in other terms, is every action has a reaction.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right? And the fact that, again, I understand the teachers' contracts, but how they structured it puts Steve in a bad spot with his negotiations. And they don't get that point of view of what happens in their house that we can't talk about, that we can't get into, does have a knock-on effect on the town. When the town hears the teachers get 5% in a couple of years from now, what the town employees are gonna be like, why aren't we getting 5%? Why is that side more important than us? And those decisions are made in their circle, under their roof. People getting
So we
more money
invite
than
them.
contracted prices.
So
But the Board of Finance is allowed to have somebody sit on that
Exactly,
committee.
and we invite them, so I think what's happening is that the gap is increasing day by day, so I'm asking us to say, hey guys, we would like to have a seat there, one of us goes there. We would like to actually, can we look at this decision from, this
But we-
perspective, or this perspective? Share our experience in finance with them, and maybe it'll help, maybe they'll be open to taking that suggestion, but it's that, I think we've just gotten to a point where we're not listening to each other.
I agree, but that's also a farce. We're allowed to sit in, but we can't say anything. I've sat in on the Board of Finance. And when they
Yeah.
said, we're gonna give 8%, or they said, oh, we're gonna give, one of the things was, we're gonna take an 11-month employee and move it to a 12-month employee. We need to do, and I asked the question, well, how are you gonna get there? And they says, oh, we're just gonna give them an extra month's pay. And then I says, okay, and they said, and we're gonna give them 2 weeks of extra vacation in that month's pay, and we're gonna give them 3 more extra personal days. I said, so we're gonna pay them an extra month for 4 days. Yes. I said, that doesn't sound right to me, and I got told, well, that's the way it is. So we don't have a say when we go to these meetings. We can listen, All we do is get informed. When you say, and that olive branch was thrown out to us to sit there, we don't have a say. We can't get involved in the conversation. We can't speak to the lawyer. We sit there and just listen. So it's an informational meeting, yes, we will get information, but we can't input our fiscal responsibility into that.
So we bring that information, I've said at the meeting too, we bring that information back to our board. I think we can't change what happened in the past, but going forward, we could bring that information to our board and say, guys, this is what the deliberations are. What are the different, how is it going to impact us? How is it going to impact the town? And then bring them back to them and say, guys, just wanting you to know that this is how it's going to impact the town 2 years later, 4 years later. Maybe it weighs in on your decision, maybe it doesn't,
It used to be that the Board of Finance member was a part of that committee and allowed to speak. So my perfect world is that the Board of Finance member sitting on those negotiations is coming back to whomever, right, and saying, okay, this is what they want to do. How's that going to affect us in year 2, in year 3? Because that does go to affordability. And then we go back to the Board of Ed and say, hey, understand,
This is how
you're
it's
going to
going
have a 4.2%, or whatever the number is, increase next year,
Yeah.
right? And understand we have limits, what the residents will pay. Is that what you really want to do?
You will have
We
to
can't
make
tell them
some
what to
cuts,
do,
yeah.
but we can give them more information and help them understand what that total cost is going to be, right? And also, we also have to remember, and these are really tough times, is that if you cannot agree on a salary increase, if you say, okay, we're worlds apart, you go to arbitration.
It's binding.
And
It's one or the
arbitration picks one number or the other.
Yeah.
It's a huge risk.
Brian,
And
your
it's-
thoughts?
It's made that way on purpose, so that it pushes you to.
So, just on this general topic, I think we did get a little ahead of ourselves on
Yeah.
maybe having opinions on some of the things they were
Yeah.
doing. But I think that our boards have been lately working more collaboratively, and I think that's important. And affordability, first of all, we have one budget that gets voted on by the town.
Yep.
There are not two budgets that get voted on by the town. So affordability, there is interaction, right? If there's an absolute amount that we think is affordable, you have to split that between two areas. And the more knowledge and understanding you have about what's underneath there is gonna make that to be as good as, the best result for the residents of our town as possible. So understanding all this stuff, I think, is very important. I think that the Board of Ed and the people in the school that deal with budgets appreciate our involvement. And we gotta be a little careful not to overstep ourselves, and we overstepped ourselves a little bit in some of our discussions, but we haven't deliberated or make any decisions yet, so I don't think there's any damage done by it. But but we just gotta be a little bit careful with that.
Agreed.
Les, you're quiet down there, fire away.
I'm the new kid on the block, and I don't have nearly the experience or knowledge that the people in this room do. I'm just looking at it from a citizen's point of view. I am concerned about how if we don't find the Board of Ed's plan to be affordable, I get the feeling, well, so what? There's nothing we can do about it. It's out of our control. All we can do is work on the town budget and make sure that's as good as it can be. And if the Board of Ed wants to go ahead with what they're doing, it sounds like there's nothing we can do about it.
No, they don't have, the budget that gets voted on is the Board of Finance budget. So we decide what is brought forward, right?
All we-
So-
Yeah, but we have no say on what.
But we can
What
make
they
it
do
happen
with
when we
that.
want.
So we can cut, like, right now.
Or
there's
give
two-
back. I don't
or
want
give
to say
back.
cut.
Thank you.
Or give back.
We can give back, we can cut, we can change the number however it gets changed, and if it,
Total number.
the total number.
The total number for the entire,
For the town,
budget
for the
for
town of
everything.
Brookfield.
And then that goes
No, for
to,
Board of Ed,
correct,
just for Board.
right.
we
So
can
vote.
change the
For all
Board of
boards,
Ed's
for all
number.
boards.
Yep.
We can
Just the
change the
number.
number,
Their-
either
their
add
slip and
or
already
take
has.
away, and then we have no say in what they do with that past amount of money. So whatever, if the town passes the budget, that's what the Board of Education gets. We don't get to say, oh, you should have moved this amount to here, or
Or
you should have
spend it
done
on
that
that.
with this and done
Right.
that with that. We can't do that. All we
That's
can do
correct.
is say, we all collectively agreed as a group that this is what your budget should be, this is what the town's budget should be, this is what capital should be, and we send it to the voters. That's it. If it passes, That's what happens.
But the Board of Finance is allowed to take
Correct.
information like they said, here's a new program we want to do, and this is why we want you to increase our budget, right? That's reasonable,
Yes, yes.
right? So
And
we
then-
get more information to make a
We
better
weigh in.
decision under the guise, as he said,
But
of
if we don't
affordability.
feel that is a smart decision on the boards, if the Board of Finance feels that, you know, you're either taking too much risk, you're spending too much money,
It's not a
And-
matter of spending too much money, it's about really the affordability
Affordability.
down the road. We
Right.
can't afford it, or we can't keep affording it. And that,
Right.
I mean, you said it in the same way, I think, but it's like, we can't say you're spending too much money. We have to look at it as, what can we afford down the road? What can we afford, like they sustain? And that's part of what Brian's model, and that's why I'm leading into some of this conversation. Brian has built a model that shows if we sustain this. Naheed sent some great AI stuff
it's like,
today
yeah.
that also showed that affordability. So I don't want anybody to think this is personal attacks and everything else from the point of view, this is understanding what their budget is, where we're gonna go, where are we 2 or 3 years down the road, and how do we sustain this in a town that doesn't vote budgets over 4% in, a little bit over, I mean, we say 4%, but when we hit that
In the
5
four.
number, that
Oh,
5
five
number
is
is a
tough.
vote no.
Is
So if we build up to that 5 number 3 years down the road, and they vote no, and it gets down to 3, then there's drastic changes. And it's
Which
forced
no one
changes.
wants.
That's
Right.
forced
Hey,
changes.
let me make one more point, right? Because it's our budget, and on March 31st, we just agreed that we're gonna present our budget to the town.
Right.
And I think I'm the one that does
Yes,
this.
you
Unless
are.
you guys volunteer.
No, you're it, you're the
I'm
guy.
gonna stand in
No.
front of this and I'm gonna explain to the town the Board of Ed's budget and why it is what it is. And if all I did was affordability, I would say, oh, the Board of Ed's going up or whatever, X% because that's what's affordable. I don't think the town would accept that answer. So we need to understand it so we can explain it to the residents who aren't spending 100 hours in this room,
Yeah.
right, in a simple way. So there's another reason why it's important for us to understand it. Not-
We do, both Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance need to understand their budget. So for when we go to the town, we say, here's why we are agreeing to whatever the number is, right, for the Board of Ed, and discuss it. So we have to know that. The
This is what's
question
in there,
is,
so you
when you
guys can
get down
decide
to
whether you
individual
think it's
items
fair.
and say, I'm gonna take 250 out because I don't like that program.
Right,
That's
can't
it.
do that, right.
Yeah.
That's
That's
a
why
bridge
we got a
too
little
far.
close to the line on it.
Yeah.
That's too
And,
far.
and we're,
And
I
they,
think
and
we're
they
gonna
have
back out of
good-
that anyway.
well, I'm just, I think now, there were lots of seats open, and now we have the superintendent, we have, so I think they have a team now, which I have faith will be able to.
I also think that was a little bit of
There was
a
there was like.
special circumstance with it
The
because
last few
of
months
that
were not,
revenue
yeah.
that they were planning and the large, discrepancy of if that hits or not.
I think in fairness, I think that, and finding out, and making phone calls and having friends call me
Yeah.
as well, that I think that presentation was put together to, as fast as they could and wasn't checked, and I think they knew that, and they just wanted us to get the information faster. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
And
had
I
a
think-
very short
Yeah.
budget.
And I-
Yeah,
and I
exactly.
think that that's why it came across like it did.
Yeah. And we
Yeah.
also have a guy who's been in office for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yes, we have to have faith,
You
yes.
gotta cut him a little
Yeah,
slack.
absolutely.
Come on.
And
Yes.
it was helpful.
Yes.
We had to straighten out, understand a little better
Right,
because we're
right,
finance ones.
Right, and we're not the educators, they know there's,
Yep,
they're,
absolutely.
so we trust them, and then I'm positive we should be able to give our advice, our suggestions. I just think they'll be amicable to it, going forward, I think.
So then, to be bluntly honest, we're all clear on what we want to do,
Yes,
correct, as a
So-
team?
yes,
So we're not, no, I'm just saying, our rules and our way we're
Yeah.
gonna guide, is all I'm asking for,
Yeah.
Brian.
I think.
I got told I was misleading you guys in the rules.
no.
I
Absolutely,
just
we're
wanted to
not
make sure we're
misleading.
all on the
No,
same
we're all-
page.
aware.
We're
I've
all
been
in
on
it
this
together.
board long
I-
enough to not be misleading.
I would not say that. I think
That
that
is
we,
not true.
as a board, we
So-
did cross the line as.
All of us,
I think-
yeah.
in our
Which would confuse
discussions.
people who say,
Yeah.
oh, the Board of Finance can say, no, you don't do that program,
Because-
no, we're not doing
Yeah,
3K.
yeah.
And that impression
We
could
didn't
have
most likely, we
been
didn't
heard
make
by
any
people.
decisions.
Yeah,
Our
exactly.
discussions
I
probably
just
went
wanna clear the
direction.
air, Steve, and have this
Yes,
team
yes.
be solid going
But I
forward.
want to,
Yes.
so,
That's all.
right, so on one end, telling the Board of Ed how to spend their money, we're not gonna do.
Correct.
The other thing of just picking a number that's affordable without any information, I'm not gonna do that either.
Yeah, I'm okay with
So
that.
there's
As long
gonna
as
be-
we had this discussion, I'm good.
Yep.
So it's gonna be
Yes, yes.
somewhere in between, way closer to
We're
that
going
than that.
to,
Yeah.
as citizens of the town, as Board
Yeah.
of Finance members, we're going to do our job as much as we can, and
Yep.
I
Okay,
just
good.
wanted us to clear as a team, that's all. As we go together, we've done, you've reminded me, do everything as a team,
yes.
right? And I just wanted the air to be cleared, that we all are together on what we're gonna do.
I think we came to that realization on our own for the most part anyway,
I
after those
just,
meetings.
I
right?
know, I just wanna get it out there.
Yep,
That's all, that I
absolutely.
just wanna have it, so we can move forward. All right, where do we wanna go? Because now I'm not driving right now.
Can I'd show mine if I can make it work. I forgot my little cables. Will it work?
That's-
We have yours,
If
Naheed.
not, I'll
She
show you
has
the
it.
file.
And I asked her to queue up yours as
Which one
well.
was yours?
The AI, I wanna get through one of those, but it's gonna tie to what you
Well,
said too.
can I make, do you wanna give a speech or do you want me to give a speech on AI?
No, no, please go ahead.
So,
Yeah,
AI is a really good and a really powerful tool, right?
Yes.
Everybody understands this, right? If you haven't done a lot with AI, what Naheed sent us, the verbiage, I think was really strong and powerful and good. If you look at the model that came in, the model is affected by the assumptions that either you give it or it makes itself if you don't give it
Absolutely.
anything.
Right.
Yes.
The model is wrong. Don't look at the model. The model says next year our mill rate's gonna go up 4%. The model, every model
It
that
takes
I built.
it's assumptions, right?
It takes assumptions,
takes
and if you don't give them, it makes,
assumptions,
so
I'm-
be
Yeah.
really, be,
Yeah.
and you can give it, you can see where it's making wrong assumptions, fix the assumptions, and it gets more and more powerful.
Absolutely.
But don't look at that model and think that's a good model.
Yeah.
Look at the verbiage, because what it gleaned out of the data we gave it is very interesting.
That's what
to
I read.
talk about.
I didn't
Right.
get into the numbers, I read the
Right, right.
verbiage.
And I think I would have also
That's what
said,
I,
don't
I would have also
know.
said that the results are a direct correlation to the prompt, and the prompt
Yeah.
is given by me, and of course, the time I had and
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
input I gave, so it's,
We're not gonna do
it's,
this.
For
it's,
me-
it's a first cut,
Right.
yeah,
But
it's
what
a
I-
first cut.
What I really
yes.
did like about it, I agree the numbers weren't exactly where we wanted, but we weren't giving all the data and all of our
The
assumptions.
more we give, the better it
But
gets.
we are literally doing every single thing that
Send it
AI
to me and I'll
program
give
suggested
you
we
my-
do.
my
Yes.
computer
yes,
to run it.
that's what I want. It enforced what we've been doing for years, Steve.
And say, this is important, that's important. All the
Everything
things
that
you
we've
said,
been
great.
focusing on as a group for years, that report showed we have to remain on that course.
Yes, yes.
I agree.
That's what I got out of it.
That's
We've
what I
been
got.
doing it and we gotta remain on it. And I didn't look at the number, I only read the
Yeah.
verbiage.
Yeah, the
So
verbiage
there
was
is-
No,
really.
So-
Brian was right,
Yeah.
it's the way.
So for me, I was reading, this is what we've been doing, it reinforces our philosophy, it reinforces our discipline. And what it told me is, we have to maintain that.
Yes,
We can't lose focus of that, especially with police stations, community centers, EMS buildings, and school projects that we know are gonna come down the road. You know, 10 years from now, they're gonna need something. We know this.
yes.
So I thought it was very powerful, to the point, I didn't read the model.
And we
I
can do a lot
apologize.
more.
No, it's okay, just,
Yeah, I just spent an hour today, but we can do a lot more as we go along with the police station, with the community center. We can ask for.
yeah. I mean, the model I've been developing it over 2 years.
I know, I like it.
And in
We should
an
read that.
hour, I got within 80%. You know, and with, another 10 hours, it would be pretty damn close. So that's how powerful this stuff is, so.
Not close
But it's
enough,
not,
but-
in the first hour, no, it
Yeah, but it could,
could replace it
Yeah.
once you train it a little bit.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I'm stalling because I have to send the file, the cables don't work still for me. Give me a minute, is there something else we need to talk about?
Well, just putting the Heats thing up there quick, let's run through it. We talked about it while you're doing
Okay.
it, and then you've already read it, so you don't even have to pay attention, you could just do. So Marcia, can you put up
Okay.
the Heats?
Can I have the cable?
Yes, you can.
So. Now, the town can see this or not see this,
They can't see this, but I can change it so they can see it.
but then they can't hear us.
No, I know how to fix that.
They wouldn't have to do any bad.
We're getting techie here.
Yeah, we don't need to show it, we can read it, we can
No,
go
it's,
through it.
it's gonna show up here in a minute.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give you this to drive,
Oh, okay,
and then here's the view, whatever mouse you want.
there we go, okay.
And there's, both of them are up there.
Okay.
You have to. We're still doing the guy.
Oh, there we go. Okay, all right, so, overall financial health, stable and fundamentally strong. The fund balance reserve strong, net position trend increasing, audit opinion was clean, pension funding position is great, and the revenue stability is strong tax base. Our fund balance, 15 to 16% of revenue, which aligns with the recommended, best practices, which is 15 to 20%. I'm going to go down to, so we kind of gave it our budget for this year, and it talks about the debt service, and it says that it's a temporary 1.43 million drop. It could provide short-term mill rate relief, however, because this is a result of maturing bonds rather than structural revenue improvements, this can be something that we use for future planning. Mill rate trends, just the numbers that translates to, so the last 2 years, our increase was 2.14 mil, and for a 500,000 home, it's $388 a year. For a 750,000 home, it's $583 a year. For a 1 million home, it's $777 a year. So this level of increase is significant and reinforces the need for careful fiscal planning, which is what our job is, right? Debt outlook and capital planning, this is, again, it looks at our
So we
debt
talked
service
about it.
outlook. Yes, we talked about it. We had a debt valley right now. The capital plan is wonderful. Actually, this was later, the first time I uploaded the capital plan, it loved it. It said, these are positive signs of asset life cycle management. However, strategic questions remain, and these are the questions it's raised. Debt capacity analysis, the capital plan lists projects but should also show annual borrowing levels, projected debt service, and debt service as a percentage
And
of
that's all in our
operating
other file.
That's our other
That's
model.
not in the capital plan,
That's
that's in.
his model that we're gonna see.
Your model would.
So we cover that
yes,
point.
we do cover it. So when we put that up, we can, when we upload that, we should have that. Funding mix, it talks about best practices, on, equipment, vehicles and buildings, how to go about it. Long-term, so school, I think one of the things it kind of reiterated was that school capital needs to be, it can be highly variable. You could have something that comes out that, significant. So, we should ensure the capital plan incorporates, long-term facility needs. Infrastructure maintenance, we've talked, our road, we already have that,
See, I'm just gonna,
Go
the
ahead.
point again, like on this debt reduction thing,
yeah.
it didn't have the insight to know that we have been kind of funding what used to be called the bubble with ARPA funds and the like, and so this reduction isn't really a.
And which is
reduction.
the information I didn't feed it, so when you.
It's right, that's
yes,
my
yes,
point, it'll make you
yes.
deal with the information that it has.
Yes, yes, absolutely, yes. The more we feed, it's going to grow. So, it kind of came up with some strategic options to use that. Capital stabilization reserve, special education stabilization, because we know this is a fluctuating thing for us. Pension pre-funding or partial tax relief. Long-term fiscal outlook, kind of conservative assumptions, and these are the assumptions it took. Town operating growth 3%, Board of Education 4%, capital growth 2%, and grant
Yeah,
list
those
growth.
are like wild,
2.5.
are wrong across the
Yeah.
board. That's why I said, don't look at the model, because those
Right.
four numbers drive the whole model, and those numbers are
And
correct.
those are, again, that's what, I think to do any model, you'll have to take some assumptions, and this, maybe we can tell it what
Right.
assumptions to take. That's what we can do.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying, I see your final
Yeah,
model.
yeah, yeah. But, mill rate projections could trend towards
But
mid-30s.
just as, in these things, you go back and you say, why did you make those assumptions? And it might say, the average town's capital
Yeah.
growth is 2%. Your guys is 9. You've got better to look at why you're different than the rest of the world. That's another power of the eye. You question why it's
Agreed.
something that you think is wrong. You learn from it.
Agree, yep. All right, fiscal, so to ensure a balanced discussion, he kind of suggested we should consider some, viewpoints. So prioritize debt management, reserve
So we
strength.
have a
and-
debt management policy, so
Yeah.
that would go in there as we know our limits.
Right, reserve strength, we already have that in our planning, and then sustainable operating growth. Again, I think these are perspectives that we all kind of talk about all the time. And this is the recommended next steps. Figure out, and you probably have that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We have
capital
that,
funding
absolutely.
policy, yeah, we have all, so yeah,
And it
including.
looks
don't
like you
have-
go down to point three.
We don't have point three.
Yes,
And we don't have
Yes.
point 4.
yes. So the point 4 is the model that I sent.
Earlier.
Well, the town
Yesterday.
doesn't have one, you have a preliminary one,
I
right?
have
You
a
have,
pre-
you have the structure.
I have a structure that AI suggested, and I shared it with Caroline, and I shared with all of you.
Okay.
So we could look at that as a model, and maybe, you know,
Well, the Board of Ed
Customize
should look
it.
at it, I can't
We
do that.
can't, don't overstep, don't overstep.
We let that go
All right,
now,
that
it's
down.
out there,
All right.
let's go
But
past
the
that
point is,
now.
that is a model. that
Brookfield
should be more
currently
than that.
I agree.
maintains strong
agree.
financial
I agree.
fundamentals, including healthy reserves and stable revenues. This is for the town. However, rising operating costs, upcoming capital needs, and recent mill rate increases requires thoughtful fiscal management. So, which is what our job is, to
Right.
do this.
All of this is exactly, this is great, and I get what Brian's saying, and you understood it too, so I don't want you to
Yeah.
think, you didn't understand
No, so
what
if
you
you
were
haven't
showing.
dealt with AI, it's
No,
important to know that.
but you
Assumptions
two
are
have,
key.
and she understood
Yeah.
that too,
Very
but the
well.
bottom line is the verbiage.
Yeah.
Is what we're doing, how we're managing this, how we're looking down the road, future things, and what we have to look at to be able to sustain this.
Right, right.
And I think that talked to it, now we can switch to Brian,
Yes.
right?
I think I might be able to get my
Because he has
machine
the
right now. Can you just give me the cables if you want.
Okay.
So, the order of operations, I was gonna do the, kind of the deliberation kind of stuff first, and then the 10-year model second, is that okay?
Whatever you wanna do.
And it will be on the
No,
screen.
we're together this, if you wanna drive for a little while, I can sit in the passenger seat.
It will be for people
Tell me how
to
to
see,
do
and
this.
Diane can hear us.
I thought there was another cable we had just before, in the, can you see it? Is that it? Yeah, that's the one. You gotta, hold on, you gotta tell me how to do this. I don't have all the skills. Let me go
Just
see.
for my,
Let me go see.
every computer's different. For my computer, I only need to plug in this one, and it'll show
Okay, it's
in
in,
a minute.
it's blinking at me.
Should be.
Something happened.
Is it working?
There you go.
There we go.
There we go.
Hey,
All right.
Don't make it big for this
I am.
old guy
I'm
down
I'm
here.
gonna make it even,
There you go.
bigger in
Yeah.
a minute, so, so just to familiarize you with the chart, and then I'm gonna even make it easier to see. So, the first line is the Board of Selectmen budget that was presented to us. The town, how much contingency is in the town number, so that's contained in the first number. The school budget, the capital budget, the debt, that's our total expenditures. The current year tax, so of our revenue, how much is paid for by current year tax? The mill rate that comes out of it, and the mill rate year to year, which would be the tax increase. So those numbers came, if you got Steve's memo, those are the numbers in Steve's memo, okay? Everybody got it?
Mhm.
I'm going slow, if you don't, yell. Okay, we have made a set of changes since then. There's a whole bunch that Marcia sent out a file, that was in line 8. And then on top of that, yesterday, we put in the stipend and we put in the highway headcount coming in January.
Mhm.
So as we speak, our budget is line 12, the BOF budget as of 3/17. Okay, everybody good with that?
Mhm.
Yes?
Yes.
Anybody say no, speak now. Okay, so what I'm
Yes,
gonna
yes.
do now is hide that. We're not really touching capital or debt, so I'm gonna hide those, so you don't have to look at them. So now it's even, is that, I can make the numbers bigger probably. Now that I've answered that, okay. Okay, so, now what we can talk about is here are the open items, and we're gonna be careful about the discussion we just had, that we might want, that we said we're still gonna talk about, and there could be more, right? But these are the ones I wrote down, so I think we go through these. Is that okay?
No, yeah,
Okay.
you're driving, go ahead.
All right, so, the first one, so we did get the information from Casey that the savings for the benefits is 310,000. So, we think funding their benefits fully is affordable, so we're gonna put in the reduction of 310,000 from the placeholder that we originally put in. So we had 300 reduction in the original Board of Finance budget, so we should take another 10,000 out.
That's not really a reduction, that's just a.
Yeah.
It's a true up.
True up, yeah, I
Yeah.
just, so I don't
Right.
want anybody to think we reduced it,
No,
that's
no,
a true up, that's actual to actual
Got the
now.
number.
Right,
It was an estimate to actual.
Yes, the number in the current school budget is higher than it needs to be by 10,000 now that we have the actual number that's going in. Okay, good, everybody good?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right, the second one I'm gonna try to solve simply, right? So, the police suggested that the school should have another ASSO. We've sent to the school and said, if you wanna have this, it's up to you, you decide how you wanna spend your money. However, if you wanna spend your money on this, we should keep the budget in the police budget, and we'd be happy to move the money for you. So, given that, I don't think there's any way we would suggest to change any of the numbers in here. But at some point, if the Board of Ed directs us to move budgets, we will execute that for them. Anybody disagree?
So the Board of Ed may or may not pick up 50% of that?
The ASSO would be 100% if they decided
So
to
I
do
think
it.
what you're saying, Brian, is we would put the ASSO in the Board of Ed budget.
Nope,
No, they gotta decide they want it.
we don't do that,
No,
Lou.
no, they decide they want it, and then we actually move the cost
If
to
they,
the
if they
town
wanna
side.
pay for one more ASSO and the police, it goes in the police budget, we'll move
It goes
from
into
the
the police
Board of Ed's budget to the police budget.
So we're saying the
based on-
same thing,
right,
okay.
Based on
We're saying the
their
same thing.
decision to do that.
It would be, the Board of Ed would pay for it in their budget.
But that ASSO is not in that 57.5.
No.
No,
No.
No.
This would be
There's an
No.
existing ASSO, but not a new, not a second.
not a
All
second.
right.
There is one there already.
Right, at the moment, though, you know, again, the Board of Ed can change how they spend their money, yeah.
Right, doesn't
facts.
matter.
Okay. This one I don't think we'll talk much about, but we may want to adjust the number in the school budget ourselves for whatever reason. I have a proposal, I don't think it's necessarily time to talk about it, I think we wait on that until after we have the discussion tomorrow. Okay, then there was the IT person who is currently part-time, potentially go to full-time. I think that's 34,000 in total, and we were offered to split it half and half with the Board of
It
Ed.
was
Again,
17,800 per each.
yeah, 17,840,
75.
it's on the side, 17,840 this time.
But that's also not part of,
Well, if they tell us they're gonna fund their half, then the town probably would fund its half.
all right,
We don't have that
Right,
agreement.
so that would be an add into here.
yes.
Unless anybody thinks we should do this no matter what, even if the Board of Ed doesn't wanna fund their half, or if someone thinks we absolutely should not this and not bother having the discussion, so that's why I wanted to open that up. Are there any thoughts on this one? Like it's critical, or it's not even worth talking about?
Go ahead, you start.
I think because it's in my opinion, because it's a combined, you have now the town and the Board of Education IT department working cohesively as a unit. It really does have to be, if the town wants in and the BOE wants in, that really is the only way. Because it's not like two separate departments anymore, they're
one
combined.
department.
So I feel like
Yeah.
we can't, yeah, that's just my
Or
opinion.
not.
And I would say that this is for us, given we're gonna support the library, a person's going out who does the IT there. We wanna support the police department, have those conversations with them. This is a really, really, really nice to have, but not critical at this point in time.
Mhm.
And plus, we want the agreement of the Board of Ed, full
Correct,
Yeah.
agreement.
because the
Right.
$17,000.
See, now I'm gonna be the guy that's on the flip side of this.
I would agree with you.
Man, everybody's gonna kick me and I get damned all the time and everything
Yeah.
is, I do see the benefit to the town to pick up the 17.4 even on our side. I think they played nicely, the IT department.
Yeah.
They came to us years ago and said, hey, we're gonna get they wanted a full-timer, they got a part-timer. They pushed that part-timer to its limits, which we asked them to do. I'm just saying, like, when we said, hey, we can't afford full-time, get a part-time. They stepped up to the plate, utilized their part-time, and
That
now,
was, 7 years ago?
yeah, and that's just my opinion, as a board, we're doing
And
this.
it was at one point a two-person department,
It was
which
a
then we
two-person
took down to
department.
one.
This is
what
and
I'm
then we
trying
did
to
a-
say.
No, you're reminding me and
This
bringing
is
me
what I'm
back in.
saying, and
Right.
Brian actually said, and I said, no, it should be a split thing, but I'm saying the importance of the position to the way they handled their business, right? They came to us, we said full-time, we cut them to half-time, they made it work as long as they can make that work. Sort of like you ask people to use vehicles until they don't work anymore. We used personal capital to the extent of they've pushed their limits.
Mm.
They have really come a long way as a department in their management skills. They've come a long way in how they handle their business in the town hall. Is this something that extra 17,000, are we still, even if it's, we're splitting it with the school, is this 17,000 something that's gonna get us farther to our
34
goals?
total, 17.
34, but I'm
But we're
saying,
not.
it's gonna cost us 17,000
I'm just
extra
gonna-
on our side.
I'm gonna add one point though.
Go ahead.
They just got cyber, we've approved the cyber, right?
Yep.
So that is going to kind of help them manage the cyber threats, the
Mhm.
cybersecurity portion
Okay.
of it, right? So
I'm gonna
having that
get on it.
software will help them a little bit.
But even,
But I
So
did ask them that question.
Cyber program will stop work coming to them.
Okay.
It won't stop the work they're doing now
Right.
and the increased need that we have.
So how about this? Can we
Their workload
implement
won't change.
the Bryan rule?
Yeah, that was my suggestion.
The Bryan rule is.
January 1st.
Les, you're catching on, my friend. Les, you're not just sitting there, you're
No.
listening.
that's right.
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
wanna be called the prime.
And I think even if the Board of Ed doesn't wanna finance it, I think it's money well spent, because IT is growing exponentially, with
Threats
all
are
we've
too.
got going on now. I wasn't even thinking of threats, I'm thinking of just the complexities of the digital aspect we're working in, and AI. I think it's money well spent, and 5 years from now, you're gonna be adding another person in that department.
John,
yeah,
hold on, John hasn't piped in yet. Let's
Okay.
get John and then we'll go back to you.
Honestly, at first I was kind of the all or nothing, but I thought you brought up a great point and give it, like, you could see when the IT came in and what you've said they've done, you know, kind of like fell in line and made everything work that they need to, that for $17,000, you know, I think we should do it.
Brian,
And
your
that's
thoughts?
what I was thinking is, I think there's value in the work. We can fund, the town can fund its half. If the Board of Ed can't support its funding, then we start the person full-time in January. If they can afford to fund their half, then we start the person up
That's what I was gonna
July
ask,
1st.
I like that plan
Like
a
it's
lot.
Yeah.
So if the board isn't it, if we
Right.
can't do it on the school side, we just start the
Yeah.
position in January. If we can do it on the school side, we start
Start
it.
immediately.
I
So they
really,
tell us
I think
And
that's working
just
with
this
what we've
background,
got.
I know
Yeah.
Glenn and I worked on this, and we really worked with the Board of Ed for this joint,
You did,
and
it
it has worked
has.
really well.
Yes.
But we
And-
structured it properly, and I think we can do more.
Go ahead,
Well,
Marcia, you
there's-
got a
We
word,
can do a
Marcia,
lot more
please.
by
We would still
collaborating.
need the Board of Ed's approval or buy-in, because even if we started it under the Bryan rule, that we would have to, they would be picking it up next year, and we don't like it when people do that to us, that.
No, we're not committing them. I don't want this,
Well,
my
that's
opinion,
just
hold
not-
on, my opinion is, we're gonna ask them if they wanna share in it, they have a choice. But if we hire this person, we gotta figure out how to carry that on our own,
If they don't
going
share,
down the
then we'll make sure
road.
that person does not do any work for the.
No, we,
Is that what you're saying, Glenn?
no, you've yelled at me, we gotta do the best for Brookfield. All of you have called me and said, what's in the best interest of Brookfield? The best interest of Brookfield right now, in my opinion, is they did what they said they were gonna do,
Right.
and we gotta do the back end of this. And
So-
I think that's just the right decision, and we should ask, yes, but I mean,
We have to have
in
a-
reality, what Steve is saying too is, we're gonna get to the library, we're gonna get more into the
Right.
police, so if you really skewed it in a way, it might be more weighted on our side.
It probably
So my
would be a
question-
little more weighted on our side, I think,
Right, so my question is,
60-40.
then
And I
for
think,
next year's budget, regardless of how, it's 100% all in on the town as a full-time position.
Yeah, so if the Board of Ed
If-
says, no, we don't need it,
We
it
are
would be
assuming the
17 more
100%
for
of
us.
the
It would be
full.
34.
Okay, I just wanna make sure we've got that
and we
in our
have
heads.
and we
I
have
don't
the
wanna- I don't want you to
highway.
be
No,
okay.
I'm okay, just based on everything I'm hearing, a couple of you are implying, let's just fund this for the full year, 34,000.
I forgot what Glenn had
I would
said.
be okay with that.
I did
personally.
forget what Glenn had
I'd be
said.
okay with it.
Uh,
So
But I
there's
don't,
two.
but this, no, but that's two of the six of us, we do
Right.
this
No, no, so I
together.
think-
Well, no, I wanna ask the opinion of the other four,
Fine,
that's
go
what we
ahead.
talked about.
Go ahead.
I think we also said yes to the highway, so we've already committed ourselves to 125 plus this 34 plus. So I'm just thinking, if we're going to, so the town side is, we just talked about it, the town side is growing, and we have to balance it out. We gotta think about, so with the AI too, right? the town side, the assumptions were 3% and 4%. We're not growing at 3%, we can't in the future also, so I think we have to,
But that's on, so you're
Are
like,
you a
let's do the half
full-time,
thing.
or are you a January person?
I'm actually, in my opinion, we should talk to Board of Ed and get through that conversation before we commit, ask them to participate and have them commit to the 17, so that town only has to look at 17 next year and not 34.
So
That's
I
So
don't
what
think
we
that,
could
I'm gonna
do,
tell you, I don't think the Board of Ed's gonna
Because
agree
we're
with
running
this.
out of time here, and the Board of Finance wants to finish their budget, we could fund it on our outside, have the conversation with the Board of Ed, and if they don't agree, the board then meets again and we say, okay, we're not gonna do this, we're just gonna leave the money in the budget for right now. Or we're gonna start it in
Yeah,
January.
it's January, right? It's January, so
We're
we have
starting
time.
in January.
Brian, you were gonna say something.
Yeah, I don't think, given what we know about the Board of Ed budget, that they're gonna agree to this. I think.
I would say no
The,
as well.
the supervisor, the new superintendent showed us the priority list, and this was not on their
No,
priority list.
not on their-
And this didn't even support things on that list necessarily, so I don't
Most of
think
the
this
support
makes
is
their
gonna be
cut.
on the town side, it is.
Right, this will not be funded, I mean, I'm
I
not
agree.
speaking for them,
No,
but
no, you're not being
everything
negative.
says it's not gonna happen. So then what do we wanna do?
I would say.
Start
Well,
January first?
I-
Oh, yeah, you don't get to say.
Yeah,
You
I
have to
don't,
sit at the table and talk, but no vote. So now what do you say if they're not gonna do it? What would your answer be?
So then I would,
But
I
I
would,
just put the number, cause you can see what the effect of the mill rate and
I like
and
that.
all that,
right,
on the
but,
fly.
this is this year.
and next should be another 17.
Right, so we're already at, what's the town side looking like? Not the, not the
Down
total.
below, just at the bottom, your year's up 6.48%. Now, that'll come down a lot, I think.
Well, that's because of
6.4
the
rate.
contingency.
Right.
Yeah, but don't worry about that yet, because that's gonna come down.
Look at your number in the,
So,
in the K range, right? It's the K number.
Correct, look at the mill
It didn't
rate.
change that little
Yeah,
number.
yeah, so the mill rate is fine, I'm looking at the town year-over-year growth, right? And to me, I think we have to protect the town year-over-year growth also, because it's going to be, even though it's a smaller it is impacting our numbers, so, it's a small number, it's not a big number,
What's your budget?
17,000.
All right,
Finish
I'm
your-
gonna ask
finish
a
your
question
vote.
and Marcia can help us with, hold on. I think it's an important question. How many, and you might not know the answer, that may be irrelevant, so let me ask the question anyways. How many bodies have we added to the town side budget in the last few years compared to the Board of Ed number-wise, quantity-wise?
I don't know how many the Board of Ed have added, but in the last 10 years, we've added 17 and a half.
Okay.
And I can pull up the
22 a year, that's
data
about
of
right.
how.
I'm just trying to get like a concept of what you're
Yeah,
trying to
and-
look at here,
And
Nadine.
I would say almost half of that is in
Your math is
public
good.
public safety
Here.
and health, but I can,
No,
I have the extra.
All right, so if you take that out,
We
that
have
part of it
people
out,
in
let's
public
take that out,
safety.
let's take about our core services, like IT, town clerks, tax assessors, we haven't hired many people in those
HR is
areas.
down one person, we're still down half a person from IT from 10 years ago. We have not added anybody in Public Works in the last 17 years. Parks and Rec, we have added a full-time person last year.
And police officers we add, but it's,
We added
FBI
8
says 1 to
total
500.
police officers.
Okay,
Every 500 town residents, you have to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I-
should add a
I
police
feel like that's tough
officer.
to add
But
in
it's
public,
been-
public
No,
safety.
we're under
In and
that.
out, right? I mean,
It's good now, we're under that number. I
No,
did
and
the
I'm just saying, so
calculation.
that
Right.
grew by
So-
attrition like you have to grow,
Yeah.
so
Brian,
that's,
what would our comfort number be? And this is not a big decision per
Let me
se, I
suggest
think the
this.
decision is more about the
Right.
overall number. So I think, my question to you was, if town is 40% of the, or 30% of the budget, what is our
The
comfort number?
problem is, we're talking about a small number when we're about to talk about a big number. So you gotta let this, can I suggest this?
This is
Let's say
fine,
that
I can
for
vote
now,
yes
let's
for
put this
this.
in. Let's put this in, starting full-time in
Brian's right,
January.
Brian's,
And then let's,
I see what
at the
you're saying.
very end, let's loop back and say, oh, we feel more comfortable about another
Yeah,
17.
Brian's
votes.
absolutely
I
correct.
like this,
Great.
yes.
Brian's
Great.
correct.
Cause it's too small to make a decision on.
Right.
Yeah, it's not,
Right.
it's
not
not
moving the needle
it's not
wrong.
Yeah.
moving the needle, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me keep going.
Yes.
And to your question, I have the exact numbers here, that under general government, public safety, we've added 8.5. Public works, we added 1, I think it's a facilities and not highway. Health and welfare, that's the, getting a health department, we added
Which we need.
3.
We had to.
Yeah, had to, so go ahead.
Recreation, culture and recreation, that includes library, we've added 4. And just the general government, which is what you're talking about, in 10 years, we've added 2.5.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
This is, talking to your point, I get what you're saying, we
I
have to
understand
control
that now,
the
but
town
it's-
side, but we've controlled that to a point now
will.
where we
We
have to
really
maybe
need to.
look at the moving it up.
And correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't the health and wellness, wasn't that somewhere of the, when we had the ARPA, we added one and then that was?
Yeah, we added Ben and Ryan,
Yeah,
Yeah.
paid for half
and then,
their
and
salary.
that was,
right,
and then we
then full-time.
transitioned into that.
And
That
also
happened, I
our
believe, on-
director,
Yeah,
we
and-
had a part-time director of health,
yep,
right? The law became,
exactly,
when
that's what I
he
was just about
retired,
to say.
you either have to hire
Full-time.
full-time, or you have to join like Danbury's.
Right, so that
And we
made sense.
did not
Yep,
wanna join
I remember
Danbury's.
that, okay, just
Because
making
we
sure I
wouldn't
remember
get
that
anything.
appropriately.
You know,
Right.
they're so
Okay.
big.
Next.
Go
We're ready to
for
go?
it.
Okay.
You're
Ready.
driving.
All right, well, why don't you talk yourselves out? So, on the capital projects manager, we had a big discussion, let's not start it again.
I'm calm, we're
Here's my perspective, right? I think we all recognize a need, we don't know the solution, I don't think we're prepared at the moment to put money in the budget for this. There's alternatives that potentially can get this done without money in the budget. For example, if they charge their time to a project, blah, blah, blah. So my recommendation is at this point, we don't put money in the budget
Table
for
it.
this,
Right.
and we work on figuring out how to solve this problem that we have.
After the budget
Or maybe
season.
we ask the
Yeah.
Board of Ed, because it's more their problem
Right.
than ours.
I agree
I agree.
100%.
Delete
You know, we
19.
just started looking at this 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
It's still in its infancy.
Right.
We wanna put more numbers around it,
Take
we
it out.
wanna put more detail around it, we wanna know all these projects where we are.
Yep.
So that when we come to the boards, we say, here's the problem, here's how we wanna,
I agree.
Case
Done.
closed.
Agreed.
Done.
Good,
Very
We're
good.
done. Let's
Deleted
go.
it
Yeah.
per the less.
Yep.
We're in a less rule, you got a rule
Well, look,
now.
about that rule, okay, contingency's the big one, but let's talk about the other two small ones first, even though.
Mhm.
So the EMS building study, we have $20,000 in the capital plan to do an EMS building study. The EMS building on the corner by St. Joe's and Center School
Yep,
needs something. right?
How long's that money been in there?
It's in this budget, it's never been.
It's in this
It
budget.
wasn't in last year's
Right.
budget and it wasn't. all right.
Right,
so we
so,
now.
let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
Brian,
So,
He's tougher than I am.
I'm way
Brian's driving.
tougher, I don't wanna be here at 10 o'clock. So, the options will be fix the building that exists or do something else. A possible scenario that Steve talks about is if the police moves to a new building, retrofitting the old police station, and they've already sized the study to determine how to make that the EMS building would cost $20,000. So the initial proposal was, let's increase that 20,000 so we could spend 20,000 to do the police side, the police building side, and more money to do the, let's retrofit the existing building. So I suggested 40,000 in total, Glenn said table it. That's where we're at. So we should, right now there's 20 in. Yeah, if I had my recommendation, I'd probably say, let's see if we can get it done for 30, but 20's not gonna cut it. And
So-
we gotta, can't just do
Yeah, yeah.
one's test. So I think 30, we can try to make it work. If it's a little bit more or less, we'll manage it.
Yeah, so we got the estimate to do the police station as EMS. It's 20,400. We would wanna do the same thing, looking at the EMS building right now. Now, they pulled up a number, $3 million that's a really, really
To
tough
renovate?
number. That's a guess number.
It's more
That
than,
would be to renovate.
It's bigger
the-
than
To
Yeah,
renovate
yeah,
the
yeah.
existing
Expands.
EMS building.
Yeah,
Now, we can argue pluses and minuses, but we do want, I think, to have both those numbers. What would it cost to do the police station, and what would it cost to rehab the existing EMS?
and by the
We
way, I
don't
would not
do
suggest
both.
to spend the money to test the police station until the town has decided we're not gonna keep the
Yeah.
police in their existing building. So we wouldn't spend that money yet.
Yeah, we're still up
Right,
in the
we-
on the police station,
We
period, right?
wouldn't spend that money
But we'd have the
till,
budget.
they're gonna come back to us with the rehab, the existing police station with an addition, or build new.
in
Right.
June, and it'll get
Oh,
voted
oh,
on
from-
in November.
And-
is
and
that
tell us what
similar to
those
what
would
we would do
cost.
with the EMS building is rehab, or is that what we're
Either,
looking for?
we'll never
Rehab
build
budget.
new, it'll either
Right, just
rehab
rehab.
or rehab one or the other.
so
Right.
wait,
Yeah,
if
Yeah.
we decided to just use the 20,000 that's already in the capital,
Yeah.
would that be the study just at the EMS building then?
Well, I don't know, I don't think doing
left
one
that open.
study, the original idea was do that, then Steve introduced that maybe putting in the police is another good idea.
Yeah.
I don't think just doing, if there's two options, only studying one doesn't. then that's
Well, the
not-
only reason I say only studying one for now is because they don't know what we're doing
I don't think
with
we'll
the
spend the
police?
money until we
Okay,
know.
okay,
I
okay.
think it'll just be in the
I agree.
budget, we'll hold on until we're ready to spend.
I think when the police come back to us with their estimates, rehab versus a new building, we'll have a much better idea what direction we wanna take.
So I think
And
we'll
then we
wait till
say,
that time.
okay, we think we wanna build new, that opens up this building. If we
When
say
are-
we wanna rehab the existing police station, that takes out.
Yeah,
Isn't
that.
that what
I
the
think
ad
you're-
hoc
I think you're
committee
right,
is
but I
working
think
on?
Brian's point is
Yeah.
we gotta have it in the
Police station,
budget, so
called
when we
rehab
do
and
do
new.
it, we make the right
All
decision.
new
But
buildings,
we
So-
haven't gotten the police.
Or
to
rehab
study
the
We're not gonna
existing
spend the money,
police
we're just
station.
gonna,
We're just putting it
makes
down.
sense.
we'll
Right.
spend it before the budget year's out, but we're not gonna spend it
Right.
until that first decision is made.
Mhm.
They gotta make a decision on that point well before the end of this year.
Right.
I would say before the calendar year.
Yeah, we've
Right.
charged them with coming back to us by June.
Okay.
Right, so
Okay.
we'll know by the calendar year, which will give us then months, 6 more months after the calendar year ends,
Right.
in this budget timeframe,
Okay.
right?
So my-
So,
So my recommendation is put another 10,000 in the capital budget to get a total of 30, which is probably closer it'll be to do both. Maybe it'll be a little bit light, but we'll deal with it. Anybody have alternative?
The only thing is, I think, is that they're gonna come back with that as 20. They're gonna say, this station is 20, to do that building
so
will be
put
20.
40 in there for the
But
exercise.
it would be
and let's look at it.
$10,000, which we
Okay.
could find
So
somewhere.
put 40 in there, extra 20, just for the placeholder. Now, I know that that's, I'm gonna throw a monkey wrench in there, but it's only gonna be one
Finish it
sentence
up.
and we're not gonna talk
Finish it
about
up.
it, is if we do move EMS to the police station, and we give them a nice building and we do all of that, right? Can we get that land to the town and then we utilize that as the center school property and because they own that land.
They own that land.
So now that's gonna be a dead piece of land if we move them.
I think we would discuss this with
I think
them.
part
If
of
we're building you a
negotiations.
whole new EMS station and it's
Yeah.
gonna be this police station, you wanna give that old building to the town.
And that becomes a bigger campus for whatever we decide on that
And you know
property.
That's a
what? We
great
could use
idea.
those garage spaces, to
You know what I'm
store
saying,
lot.
but if we
Yeah.
decide to do something big
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
that expands our parking possibilities, it expands a lot of
It
things
might not have
for
enough room for
future.
community center as it is, so
Right.
we have more land.
That's all I'm
Yeah,
trying to
that's a
do,
really good
is
point.
is
And
if
I
we're
think that-
talking about this.
I haven't talked to the fire company about that yet,
We're
or
way ahead
EMS,
of it.
but I
No,
gotta
no,
believe
it's
they
just
would
the right
say,
thing
hey,
to
you're
do.
gonna give me a new,
New
Yeah.
building,
we'll
yeah.
give you that building.
Yeah.
That's all. If we-
That's great, yeah.
Alright, I'm
Yeah.
good, I don't wanna labor on it, go ahead.
All
I
right.
just
You're
don't
running
wanna
this
put words
meeting.
in their mouth.
Well, I'm about to yield the floor to my other half of my brain. So
Other
the,
half of your brain.
we did not support the license plate readers in the last meeting. Brownie, you asked us to re-discuss it, and
Yes.
so I'm gonna let you run that.
Okay.
Or you
So
can let me run
the
it.
chief had sent over some stuff today about maybe the fact that we didn't have all the information. And so if you guys wanted, I made copies for everybody.
I gotta
Um,
go.
Oh, you got one, okay. So I highlighted things that I thought touched on everyone's concerns, and I just wanted to quickly go. So the first general notice is from, it says, in order to maintain state accreditation, each law enforcement unit must implement a policy that meets or exceeds the requirements set forth in the ALPR model policy. And for just quick, for anyone who's listening, ALPR going forward is automatic license plate reader, so I'm just gonna, so you go through the whole policy, and there's an administrator that ensures the system is solely used for proper department business, ensures that the security of the information in compliance with privacy laws, reports violations to the chief of police, reviews requests for data sharing, performs, this is where I was thinking was really important, was performing a quarterly audit. Audits shall include reviewing the logs to see what queries are made. The queries, which I thought were important, were that it may not be queried in connection with civil immigration matters. It can be used as part of an active investigation related to missing, exploited, or endangered people, or human trafficking, outstanding warrants, suspect in crime, stolen vehicles, stolen license plates, allegations of flight or evasion from law enforcement, fugitive from justice. It goes on and on and on. Motor vehicles with fatalities, national security and counterterrorism. So when queries are made, the person who logs into the system has to put the parameters of the query, the reason, and the case number or an identifying number. Prohibited use, it says invasion of privacy, harassment or intimidation, personal use, and violation of First Amendment rights. data sharing, the Connecticut Law Enforcement Unit shall not share with, sell, or transfer to, or allow data with an out-of-state law enforcement agency without first obtaining written declaration from the out-of-state law enforcement agency, which expressly confirms that the information obtained will not be used in a manner that violates any Connecticut general statutes. So, my thing is here is, one of the things it says is that you can set up a mutual operation understanding of how we're gonna use the system in Brookfield. We could set up rules, regulations, and understanding between how we're going to share data, how it's going to be asked for, and how, this is how I understand it, and how it can be used. So we could have our own set of rules, we can have our own way of doing it, because this specifically states, in order to maintain state accreditation, which is important, we have to meet or exceed. So I use the word exceed in saying we can exceed the requirements and saying, hey, these are the things we're gonna request to get our data that not Flock manages, but Brookfield Police manages. So if we're able to do our own mutual operating agreement between this is what our policy is gonna be in the town and this is how we're gonna do it, and you can't violate this policy, the more I read through it, the more I felt like we could put safeguards in place, and we could manage it, and we could do it correctly. And the guys in the department are good, and I think it does help. I think it's a safety-related item, and again, I go back to state accreditation. So after reading all this, going through it, knowing that Flock wasn't maintaining it, and it wasn't a third party, knowing that Brookfield Police would, knowing that we could have a requirement to exceed it, I changed my view of the importance of it, and that's it. That's all I have to say.
You took notes, what do you
I
got
was
in
trying
your
to think
notes?
of something completely different.
Oh.
Because his other brain was in charge.
Yeah, exactly. I can give my perspective on it, which, if you want.
No, you do want it.
Everybody should
That's where
give
you're
their
at.
perspective.
So I think this is really good, thoughtful view of things. I'm going to take a step back though, and it's a little bit like the Board of Ed discussion. The Board of Selectmen did not support doing this. If they have this data, they may change their mind. But I'm not comfortable overriding the Board of Selectmen's decision and putting this in. I would be very comfortable adding this into our contingency, and should the Board of Selectmen change their mind and agree to put it in, then we have the money available to give to them. But I don't wanna decide, if the Board of Selectmen said, no, I don't want these, the Board of Ed say, no, we're gonna decide to do that. I just don't think that's in our purview. It's a lot like the Board of Education question we just had. So that's my view. I would not support putting this directly in. I would be supportive to make sure we have enough contingency to cover it, should the Board of Selectmen change their mind based on really good, thoughtful analysis. And
Marcia, go
And
ahead. Raise your
they
hand.
may change their mind, because as recent as today, a new bill came out, proposed bill, House Bill 5552, that is imposing contracts and trying to keep this confidential. So I mean, this is a very fluid situation.
It's still fluid. There is no way right now, this data is the town's data. It is kept on Flock servers. It is. A rogue actor somewhere sends us a request that has the 4 pieces of information, right? Our officers are honest, decent, caring people. As long as that data, that request is from a legitimate police enforcement agency, they're gonna fulfill it. We don't know whether that actor is acting on their own or acting on behalf of they could be lying. I think this just needs more control. I just don't want our residents' data out there, and there have already been breaches.
So I'm gonna ask a question, I'm gonna be calm and ask a question here, it's like, what's the difference if I say, hey, I'm Joe Smith, Wilton Police Officer, and I'm tracking Joan Smith, and I
With
think
this
she was in
license plate, right.
Brookfield, can you help me out, did you see her car, what's the difference in that data getting taken as license plate data? I mean, it still could be a bad actor on that phone, and we're not verifying it.
There could be.
And all, I get what you're saying, and I understand it, but I'm saying, I'm not so sure if, I guess my opinion is, if this is true and we can build these things around it, it's no different than a local police or a guy saying he's from Texas, and he's tracking a Texas license plate XXX involved in a robbery, a bad actor. I'm not, because these are bad actors. These aren't regular police.
And they'll-
These are not what the 99.9% of police.
There's
And
always bad actors.
he could still call the town hall or the police department and say, I'm looking for license plate Florida XYZ. The woman's wanted for robbery, and it's his wife.
Yeah.
And we have no way to control that data as well. So I'm just trying to look at this, if,
Right.
in Brianna's point, if we can control the data. Now, you have the concerns. I think what we're asking maybe, and I'm speaking for all of us, is if you go back with Chief, because he did write to us and come back. So in fairness to Chief, he heard us talk, and he responded back. Can you go back and get us, can we build, what Brianna's saying, can we build extra walls? If we can't build extra walls, there's another discussion to be had. But if we can tighten our walls, right?
Or if that bill passes,
Right.
you know, where there's
I'm asking,
confidentiality.
I'm
Yeah,
not,
yeah, we probably could, but if we can just take a step back. This process started with me talking to the first selectman in Darien, and they're using these cameras
yes.
to track cars, particularly the gangs coming in from Waterbury. I asked John to investigate it, get the pricing, right, and have a discussion and put it in his budget for discussion.
Right.
If I hadn't done that, we wouldn't be sitting here,
Okay, so
right?
you see
So
the
John
program as
wasn't
merit.
asking for it in his budget.
No,
I was.
yeah.
I still have concerns about it. I think if we do what Brian's suggestion is a middle road, that we're not saying that we won't do this, we just have to get everybody comfortable with it.
Perfect, but then you've seen the merit in it.
I absolutely see the merit in it. What I'm worried about is the outside. It's not our servers, it's Fox servers. It were served with a warrant, right? All of that data. I wanna get more
I think we're all on
comfortable.
board then.
So,
I mean,
so
that's
to
unless you
Brian's
pipe
credit,
in, we,
throw it in contingency, and then if the bill comes out and you get comfortable with it, and there's a security that can be fenced around it, and we can lock
We
it
have the money
down,
for it.
we have the
Then-
money for it,
Yeah,
okay.
I don't have a problem with
You're the only one
that.
that hasn't piped in.
Well, prior to reading this and the chief's email, and then doing some research online about Connecticut and all that, because it is a current thing. Prior to that, I would have said, I think we ought to just, skip by this. I'm leaning more toward, it sounds like a good idea, but they said in October of this year, a law will go into effect that there's only 90 days of retention of the information, and then it's wiped.
This says 30 days.
Again, because of this this fluid situation, I'd be inclined to take Brian's view and let's wait until the police give us more information, or if you're more comfortable. I'd like to see, the Board of Selectmen more comfortable with this thing
Yeah, I'd like the
than I
entire
am right
board,
now,
so.
so. I would
It's not
say,
just me.
But have it in contingency.
let's wait.
We're gonna have it continue. I think you got your point. You did great work, Brianna. You did great research. You brought all to our attention,
And
The
John
chief-
raises
the
really
chief
good
did.
points.
I just read it.
You know, if we have a silver alert and we're trying to find somebody.
Yeah, or an Amber
with it-
Alert.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was, when I read through it, like you said,
I didn't
all
ask you
the
your
reasons,
opinion,
all
sorry.
the reasons
when
why
you come back.
it was a good idea, I also understood, but the more I read through it, I was like, okay, people are thinking it through. They are trying
They
to
are,
protect
yeah.
it. They are doing a good job.
This is.
So we're in a good place.
I think we're in a
I
great
think we
place.
just let it,
22,000,
32,000.
32,000.
32,000.
Put it in, because then we gotta just match it up, right? All right.
Yep. And that's it. Oh, yeah.
All right, now contingents.
Wait, you didn't put the EMS building number in there. We
Can I-
It's
He
in
did, he put it in
capital.
capital.
Oh, my
That's
bad,
what you
my
wanna-
bad,
yeah,
my
it
bad.
just
Can we
come
go
out.
back to that again, please?
EMS building?
The EMS thing.
Yeah.
We're putting in 32 in the capital reserve for them, right? That's,
40,000.
40,000.
20's already.
We already have 20 in there, Les.
Uh,
all right.
This is an addition of 20 if we decided.
and this is for them to use to determine whether or not they could use the existing police station for their new headquarters.
No,
How
it's
they-
twofold, but it's twofold, and maybe, not. So what Brian is saying is, we could, the original one was to look at the new police station and to see how it could transform. But Brian's saying for us to make a good financial decision, we really should understand what that building that they currently have is gonna cost us, because that may be $1 million compared to this might be 5 million.
Right.
And then we have to weigh out the value of, all right, 5 million, but this building's gonna last forever, this building's gonna give them a lot more of what they want.
Expandable,
So-
all of those.
It's,
With the
it's
ad-
another tool of data.
With the ad hoc committee, the police ad hoc committee, working on this whole, what are we gonna do?
Yep.
Was it ever considered that they would combine EMS and police in the same building? From the economy, was that ever?
No, no, it
No, and I
wasn't.
think when it was talked about, there was the concern of the EMS being in the same building where prisoners are, and there was that
Yeah.
little, like, too close for comfort
it'd be
kind of,
A little too close.
how do
for
you make
comfort.
it work when you've got ambulance guys spending, because we have EMS guys that spend the night there,
Mhm.
and then you might have a
But
situation.
your point's valid.
Very
We
valid.
didn't think of it. How's that? We already talked about it, but I don't think it ever went far.
I
beyond the
appreciate,
stuff.
your reasoning there, Brian, but
Yeah.
there are certainly ways to get around it, and I would
Yeah.
imagine that there's probably an EMS police station
Oh, I'm sure
in a
there is.
comparably sized town like ours
Yes.
somewhere in the country.
I
But
think
here's
it was
the
mentioned
other
in that
issue
meeting.
though, Les, and great thinking, and I'm like blown away by this meeting already, so don't, is what are we gonna do with the police station if we vacate the police station?
Right.
Right, so
Okay.
we're gonna add an extra expense to that new police station to house EMS?
Isn't that what the ad hoc committee is supposed to be working on, or
They're
no?
gonna do two things. They're gonna look at rehabbing the existing station and adding to it, so it would still be a police station,
Okay,
and building new, completely new. That would free up the existing police station
those are the
for
two
other
things
use.
they're looking at.
Right.
Correct.
And they're gonna come to us
Absolutely.
and tell us,
So-
all right, here's the
So then what
advantages.
happens is if we build new, we have a vacant building that
Right.
we gotta look to utilize.
Over at Center.
No,
No,
right here, the
right
police
here,
station,
right here.
the police station is
Oh,
gonna be
I'm
vacant.
talking about the E
Yeah.
EMS.
Then we gotta decide whether we build EMS and we figure out another purpose for this police
Mhm.
station, or we wait out, and that's what Brian says, we need 2 data points to
Yeah.
make that
All right.
decision of what makes sense. Am I explaining it?
Yeah, now, if,
Yep.
again, if the police station, if the police ad hoc committee says keep the old building, then that's not an option, so we'll only look at.
Then we're only gonna spend 20,000.
Spend
Right.
20.
Because we're gonna wait until, and that's what Nahid's question was,
Right.
of, we're not gonna spend this money right away. Steve said they gotta make a decision by June.
Mhm.
So in the fiscal year of this budget, we'll know whether that building's gonna be open or not.
They being the police or they being the ad hoc?
The ad hoc committee will come to the town with 2 proposals. One is to rehab the existing police station and add to it, and the other is to build brand new.
Okay.
Now, if we look at those two, and build new seems the most logical, like we did with Huckleberry. It was an
Yeah.
easy decision, build new. That may not be the case here, we just don't know yet. But if it is to build all new, then we have an empty building.
So then
Yeah,
we want
the
2
police
data
station.
points to make a decision
So-
on what's the
Which
best.
And we
don't
say,
want.
do we put the EMS there? And if we're gonna do that, we should
that
analyze the
doesn't-
building they're currently in, to again, do the same thing. Which is more cost effective, which will support the town for the next 20, 30 years,
And the
right?
whole point was to not have empty buildings
Right.
anymore.
So go ahead, Les, you still got a concern.
I still got a
out there.
concern, yeah, have we established the property where the
Yeah.
new police station is gonna be?
They have looked at a number of properties,
Okay.
right? Some members of the committee want to put it on Center School. The board of, Bob and I have talked about that, we're not in favor of that, putting a police station there. They have looked at 777. They are gonna come back to us and say, we think this is the best location.
Hey, Les, I can
Okay.
answer the question, until June, no, we don't have that.
Yeah, we
Right.
don't have.
Until the committee comes out, we don't
Yeah.
have anything, so.
But my question was when you said they're gonna, build a new, then we're gonna have an empty building.
Right, and then potentially you can put EMS there.
Does that preclude the fact that they could take down this building altogether and put the new police station there?
I don't, well then,
Well,
where do you?
that's
go?
not an option?
Please, no, let,
There's not enough
you'd like-
room
you'd like to
there.
volunteer for the committee?
I think-
We'll put you on it.
I think back to Brian, I think back to Brian, we don't know.
Just seems so,
No, but technically, if you
You're
look at,
asking the wrong group, and I don't, listen,
All right.
I'm gonna, since I'm running
See,
the
this
meeting
was
today,
a-
I'm shutting
Right,
it down.
Brian.
you guys didn't realize what you're getting into when you agreed to let
No,
me do this.
it's not a question, it's just the wrong group.
Yes,
This-
I sort of like the question.
I'm sorry, I'm shutting it down.
The simple question is, Les, if that was an answer, where do your police go for the year after you've knocked the building down before you build a new one?
Yeah.
That's the answer, it's not really
Okay.
an option.
And
So this-
I don't wanna answer
anticipation-
questions.
We're all in
you have.
agreement, I
We're all
think,
in
in the thing, we're
All
not
right.
gonna spend it less if we don't need it,
Sorry,
how's
leave it
that?
Can I just say one more
Yeah.
thing? In
Well, you gotta-
anticipation of these possible needs, that's why we bought the Grimes property. It gives
That's
us
what I was
many
thinking.
more
That's what I was
options.
You
thinking.
could.
We don't wanna be in the rental business.
All
We're
right.
in it now, but we would take, that may be the
Okay.
best location. It's level, we can get, there's a lot of advantages. Let's
Right.
wait and see what they
Yeah.
say.
Put the 20 in.
Next.
Last,
That's it.
all points noted.
Okay,
Thank
there's
you.
2 more lines, I think we should talk about contingency.
Go ahead, your meeting.
All right, how do we handle, okay, so,
It's my
Wait.
meeting, but I need help.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what, you want me to take over for a
I can do
minute
it
and
if you want.
do my thing first?
do your thing first.
All right, Marcia, pull on my thing, please.
Here, well, no, because I'm not to give her, okay, can you do that without this
Wait.
stuff? What should we? Do I have it?
Just the salaries thing, I just wanna go through all of
Oh,
that.
no, I'm right, if it's not about contingency, then let's not do it.
Oh, never mind,
Okay,
forget
sorry.
it, go ahead, but
I
it was
thought-
gonna
I thought
roll
it was
into
gonna
your
roll into-
contingency, but go ahead.
Oh,
You
I
talk
understand.
about what you're gonna talk about. I was gonna lead in.
Yeah.
You were gonna
Okay.
lead a
Yeah,
different
yeah, okay,
way.
go ahead.
I was gonna lead in through my way. And just sorta,
Okay, so tell you what, I'm gonna make a proposal, and then, and I'll explain my logic, and then we'll talk about something related, and then we'll see if they line up.
perfect, go ahead, fire away.
Here's my thinking on contingency. Right now, we have 823,927, right? Everyone sees it on the chart. This year that we're in now, not the budget, in year, we have 410,000 because our policy is to have about 0.5% of
Right.
operating in contingency. We just shoved all the benefits help in here just as a placeholder.
Mhm.
So here's where I think our contingency should be built with 3 numbers. The first is the base contingency, which is 0.5%, which I'm gonna call $425,000.
Okay.
We'll keep them round numbers, I don't have to keep them
Yep.
Okay, $425,000. The second is, we just talked about having a unique item for the reader, so now let's call that, add those two together, $450,000, okay?
Mhm.
And then the third big chunk is a contingency for the fact that the number we have in for wages for union employees that are going to have new contracts, and for non-union employees where we haven't closed on what the increase is gonna be. The number we have in the budget right now is probably lower than it will end up, okay?
Higher than it'll end up.
The
No, no.
increase is
number
lower
is
than
higher.
The number
Oh,
in the
yeah.
budget
Yeah,
is.
it's going to be
All right,
higher.
my bad,
Right.
okay.
Okay, so, should we talk about specific numbers? I mean,
No,
because it,
please don't.
okay, so I'm not going to. So it makes it a little bit hard to talk about. But again, I think Steve would say, if we put $250,000 of contingency in for this, we would be safe. I think you'd say that. I don't want to
Just
get
say
more.
that publicly.
You did.
Well, I'm just, okay.
No, forget the
Brian said
250
okay.
number.
Just-
Work off the 420, the 450 number you set as a base,
Right.
right? So, but that 450 number that you set as a base, all right, now, you can tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, go ahead.
Part of that base was already anticipated some of the salaries, and that base
Correct.
I don't
450.
think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I know our plan was, I know what you're saying, our plan is a certain percentage, but we always have used that sort of for even big numbers that we know are coming.
Yeah.
Like prior years, we said special ed, we're gonna put so much in there, so we've sort of bookended
So,
some of
yeah, Okay,
that.
I'd probably say it's slightly, what I'd say is, we should put a number in, a unique number in potentially for salaries for a reasonably positive result, and then some of the 400 would only be used if it wasn't quite as positive. I'm trying to keep this as generic as possible,
Mm-hmm.
right?
We know what we do. How much time I
Yeah. So my take is that instead of having 450,000, we should have 600,000. So an incremental 150, so that's on top of the normal 450 we'd have, of which
Which
some
is
of that
our
450 could be
0.5%.
used. So it's like
Got it.
1.5%. And so it's not saying that we would not use any of the 400 if we needed more. again, we're really kind of keeping this at a very generic
Yeah.
point.
That, it's just, it's tough,
Yeah, so my recommendation would be 600,000 contingency. It's really hard to have this, maybe we need to go into executive session or something.
We can,
Well, we can't, it's a special meeting.
Oh, okay.
it's a special meeting, but we could tomorrow,
No, they're all
Yeah.
special meetings.
they're also, but you could refile tomorrow and say,
Does anybody have another
Not
thought?
Friday.
Not enough time, it
It's
has
a
to
bit
be
of a
24
generic-
hours before the
if you
meeting.
refile tomorrow for the next day, that's 24 hours.
You think
No,
I'm-
no,
Oh,
no,
for
I,
Friday.
Because Friday, well, yeah.
I still think that for that main contingency is too high at 600, from just knowing the years of how we've handled things. And I get, you know, the numbers, and I get where you're going with that. I do think, and we added in for the reader, we don't know if we're gonna do that, right? And
So let me do one thing as we talk, just so we can look at numbers. I'm gonna put in 600, and then you can see how much more you think you might wanna cut off.
go ahead. Well, not what I wanna cut
Well,
off,
no,
it's
what
for
you think-
discussion.
Well,
This is
make a proposal.
discussion.
Make a proposal. I mean, I made a proposal.
Yeah.
I'm not locked into that.
So now that leaves you at what number? Where's the 600,000?
That didn't
Okay.
work for some reason, hold on. All right, wait, no, why,
It
because
did
it's,
work.
no, because it has to go here too, that's what did work. There it goes. It reduces the town money and the contingency. So it actually takes the mill rate without, now, there might be other changes though, it takes the mill rate to 353.
And this is with, yeah, okay.
The only thing that's not in here is any change we might make to the board.
That's what I was just about to say.
Yeah, Board of Ed's not it.
And
'Cause right now
that
it's
is going
your-
to sway things.
Your change, and
Yeah.
that's it.
So I'm not coming up to the same numbers as you.
This is the top number you got? Oh,
Town Board of Ed budget, C12,
C12, okay.
without contingency,
This is with contingency.
okay.
we took it out on your.
That's why it says
model,
of which.
Marcia, because I just
Means
wanted to.
included in that
Of
number
which,
is
is that what that
contingency.
stands
Yes,
for?
of
Okay.
which.
Okay.
Included in the town is the contingency number. That should be the right number.
I was thinking, is that ow?
Which. Yeah, that's good. I should not use my abbreviations. Well, we can take a break and, so anyway, I think it's right, but we can get it, make sure it's exact.
Yep.
It's been a while.
Drives
Okay.
Marcia crazy if it's not to the penny.
I
I'm
have a-
820 off
I have a
now.
question,
See?
but I will wait, because
$820?
it has nothing to do with
Yeah.
contingency.
Okay, then we'll figure out $820 about
Go ahead, what do you, well, we're thinking, go ahead.
Something just, I was just scope it. Did we ever get the answer on the $18,000 recreation field use fee?
Yes.
From the Parks and Rec? I know everybody was asking, did we ever get that answer, because I don't think we did. You
I haven't.
especially
It
need
was
to know.
pay-to-play thing too.
Um,
I didn't mean to go off track, I just,
No,
it's
it's
a
okay.
part of
No,
the
it's-
budget, and I was like, it just
No, I'm
popped
just
in my
grabbing my
head.
head around
Yeah,
this
yeah,
number here from.
Yeah.
Honestly,
You
this,
wouldn't believe how much
we'll
they
decide
would-
this,
Hmm?
You wouldn't
this is the
believe
last
they
thing we
would-
decide.
It's just
No,
darn.
no, that's good, that's good. We need to dot all our i's and cross our
Yeah,
t's.
thank you.
Yeah,
Of course, Marcia had it.
she always has it.
I know,
There
I
you
understand
go.
all the numbers, yeah.
I'm gonna, actually, I'll explain that.
You guys got it all?
Yes.
Okay.
What we got?
That was the answer for the 18
So I
that we
think, I
asked
think
for.
what you're kind of, I think we're,
Go ahead, say it.
I would say closer to 500,000, 450, 500,000 is where I would be thinking, yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so you're thinking less, 50 to 100,000, you're thinking less, no number discussed.
Well, no,
Well,
no,
the
because I'm throwing
sense-
another variable in there, and you're not gonna like my variable, but I'm gonna
sure.
throw the variable in there
I'm
is,
gonna throw another fact in there.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
okay. I like facts.
No, it's not really a fact, is, this year, we experienced the budget process of, the state came to us and said 16%. And we've talked about flattening that and figuring out, and I know we don't have a policy yet, but here now, do we save some of this money for next year to flatten this down, so in case we get the same thing happen reverse, where they come to us and say it's 12%, and all of a sudden they say, well, you budgeted for 12, it's now 14. So now we're absorbing a hit, and then we do, is this an opportunity for us to capture this, and I know what you're saying, and not reduce, but still capture it to the point of, we've been very good at utilizing tools and this kind of money to get us through the last 5 years. We've been very good at keeping our tax rate down and affordable, but also it's a reserve in a weird way.
It
And
is.
putting reserves in to handle
Yes.
the most unpredictable
And we've
expenses,
also, I think,
Yes.
been lucky that
right?
the
I
health
mean,
care's
and-
come lower
I
each
think
time we
your
thought
argument
it
should
was
go to
gonna
my
be.
number.
I think this
I'm
is
gonna
a-
argue to go to your
Yeah.
number, but I'm gonna move some of it around a little bit in reality.
Well,
Well, yeah, so we can talk about how
We've
to
always gone
manage
higher,
it,
and we've been lucky enough. that
right,
it's
but
always
some of
gone
this
lower.
you're saying
One
would be
time it was
contingency
higher.
for
One
next
time.
year's medical.
That was it.
Yes.
How many
But,
years?
Yes.
I have no problem.
Naheed's AI
I-
said
Said-
that for the variable special ed, it just didn't probably know
Well,
how
I'm
variable
gonna
was health insurance.
Put it here, but
It-
we
it-
can,
Absolutely,
yes.
yes, yes.
I think we're gonna say, so if we took 150 of this 600, just hear me out,
Right.
and we put it in a medical, or a health insurance
insurance.
contingency,
Continue.
that doesn't lock us necessarily in. We can still transfer that money if needed to meet any of your needs.
Right.
No,
I
what
have
you're saying
needs.
is your concerns, you're saying, we just separate it from the 600, so it just sort of, you know, sometimes when you separate money, you don't spend this money as easy as it's in one
Yeah,
bucket.
so.
I'm still saying we
You're
can-
saying you set up a
Service fund,
contingency
internal service fund.
sub account and put it for medical. Is that something that you can do in this system?
Like an internal, like Steve was just saying.
Instead of one line for contingency, can we have?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, we can have
Have whatever we
general
want.
contingency, medical cost contingency.
Yeah,
I have no problem with that. 'Cause
but
it's-
that doesn't lock us in. If
At
something
the end of the
bad
day,
were to
it's
happen, we
You
can
don't
use
have
that
to
money.
use it
Yeah,
for,
yeah.
for
No,
medical.
we can
Yeah.
still
Right.
move it. I just like the fact if we wall it off, usually you might be creative and find ways to meet your needs instead of
Yes.
a
Right.
Yes.
contingency bucket.
Right.
That's all.
It'll
Yep,
make the
yep.
decision to use it just that much more
That's all.
specific.
Yeah, to me,
I have no problem.
it's a simple envelope type of
But
And
thing.
this is the most, so in our, you know, the budget itself, this has been one of the variables and the special ed has been, those are the two things that fluctuate and.
Right, we have a chance maybe to put a little away.
And.
Go ahead, what-
And-
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Why 150? The total savings is 400?
Because
300 on the school
I
side,
sort of
100.
like Brian's number of 600, and because of where the number reaches, not creating pitfalls, not creating valleys in next year's budget. Because if we don't do something with it, we're gonna be down to a point of next year's budget, you can't handle the increase either.
Oh, no, I agree with you.
So,
But this year we
here's-
have a save of almost 400,
right,
but you want to put 150, I'm wondering, should it be higher?
well, we wanna see what, I think,
Okay.
Right.
good point, and I'm not really
Yeah.
not trying to share, great point, but I think Brian's exercise and what he's explained to me is,
Yeah.
let's put in numbers like this, see where we land.
Yeah,
And
and
we
then we go
still
back
have
and
time,
adjust.
and that's what tomorrow night, or maybe even later tonight, is those final tweaks of,
Mhm.
all right, we don't like where that is,
Right.
right? But we do know if we take out this 247, we're now down to 3.53, right?
Mhm.
We do know if we'll have more than enough in the contingency to handle what we think we need to handle. We'll have another 150 sitting there that we can hopefully ring fence for next year's medical. And then at the end, Brian and I, you know, we've talked on the side, Brian, and we haven't talked to the team obviously, but it's like, we may add some more into there to make this flatten out, or to make this make more sense, or we may have some things we may add in, but that's at the very end when we get the final number.
Okay.
And I
So your
think,
point is taken, I don't want you to think it's
Yeah,
not
no,
taken.
no, no, I just was thinking,
and we have
And the
been
next 2
lucky,
years are going to be harder,
Yeah.
we know that.
and we
Right.
have
So-
been lucky
They're gonna be-
with always
we
going
had a
high
couple
and coming
years
in
where they
low,
said
but
6
there
and it came
were,
in 9.
there
Yeah.
was, like
Right.
Marcia said, there was one year where it went the wrong way, and if we're prepared for it to go the wrong way, we're much better for
Yeah,
it.
I think putting whatever the number is, call it 150.
Right.
The good thing about that is the remaining 450, it focuses you on trying not to spend that 450. If you have 600 there, you try not to spend 600.
I agree
By
with that.
separating out, it just.
That's a
The
great point.
other
That's a
thing
great
that it
point.
does, Brian,
Great
is
point.
we've set a policy of around 1% or
And
whatever it
it's
is,
1%.
and then you can follow that.
Yeah.
Right, historically, you say, okay, 410, 450, whatever it is. Now, when you throw a 600 clunker in there, the next board that comes along says, what was that 600 clunker?
Yeah.
Correct.
Right, so
That's
now
right,
when you,
Glenn.
we're talking about traceability, that's what we put on the Board of Ed,
Yep.
is how to be traceabilities. So if we ring fence that and put it down lower too, you can follow the track better.
Yep.
Okay,
It
so,
doesn't stray off the 0.5%,
Look, it's-
yeah, no.
okay.
Anyway,
So we have about 410 right now. That's a little less than 1/2 of 1%.
We're doing this year's budget, and it was in the proposal for
Yeah.
Board of Selectmen, right?
But we already know that we're going to be hitting that.
We always do, we always know whatever we're gonna hit, we understand that.
Okay.
I mean, we're gonna utilize it for other things. We know there's things that are gonna come up that we're gonna utilize that
All of this
450
year's
for.
410?
Not all of it, no, not even close,
Yeah,
no,
No,
no, that's why, but
But I
Brian,
thought the goal was to add, if everything goes the way we want, to add 0.5% to the general fund, because the budget keeps going up every year, to stay at our 17-18%.
right.
Right.
We had, what, yeah, we pick up revenues, we know we might pick
Yeah,
up
yeah,
income
we do.
revenue from the
A
interest.
little more of a risk,
So,
but
I think we've managed that 410, and with Brian putting in the reader and the other number to make it 450, we've also cushioned that a little bit as well.
I'm not against that, I just
No,
wanna make
thank
sure,
you.
we wanna have some funds that we say are going into the general fund. If it works the way
Keep
we
the
do.
general fund growing.
Yeah, no, and we have, and we're gonna have it. All right, my turn now?
Well, these guys haven't talked
Go ahead.
Mhm.
yet. Les?
I'm good, yeah.
John? All right, so you wanna go?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do one more thing.
Go ahead.
Since
Your meeting.
there's only
You're
one more
driving.
line left in this, which
Your
is
meeting.
the BOE updates line. So I know we're gonna do that after we see them tomorrow.
Mm.
I'm just gonna give you my thoughts now so you know what they are before we go in. And I'm just gonna do it on affordability, right, given your guidance. So, this has the $250,000 Board of Selectmen cut in it. As I look at everything, I think, if I remember the number, I would recommend giving them back about $50,000. And, okay, like it or not, whoever the anonymous person is, there may have been a miss in their submission for an occupational therapist. And this is the, full-time January 1st cost of, I don't wanna call it payroll, of that person. And it keeps the spending for the school slightly, it might be, whatever, 50,000, can't remember the exact number, slightly below 4%. And I think that staying under 4% is affordable. And staying a lot under 4%, given everything we know, and with a new superintendent that we want to support, I think is a challenging number. So giving them a little bit back around the $50,000 is where my head says from an affordability perspective and from everything else we heard, is where I'd probably be comfortable ending up. Again, we're gonna hear more about this tomorrow, but that's where my head is. And the reason I tell you that is because, then it just shows you it doesn't change the mill rate all that much. We were 360, I think, last year. Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna take that out because we haven't agreed on it, there's no way we could. But I just wanted you to be aware of that.
Right.
And, yeah.
You need to add 23,200 to C 21.
Yes, I do, thank you, that's why it's not working.
She caught you
Oh,
up.
good. About time I was called on my
She
nonsense.
caught you up. She.
But we still are 0.1% off on our tax increase, but I'm working my way across.
Well, it could be that it's just rounding. Hold on a second.
I've got 3.43.
That, my number, when I add that in, 359 is my number, so I'm pretty sure these are right. But anyway, we can go back and look.
Okay.
We'll do that offline.
Yep.
This is something that.
All right, you good there now? Everybody got the snapshot? Because we're
Yes.
gonna change computers now.
Yes.
So I think for now, this is preliminary, our agreement, with the exception of that one number, right?
I think we do have to wait till tomorrow to hear.
100%,
Yeah.
100%.
But I'm in agreement with you.
And I didn't-
that-
I took it off
Because,
the chart for that
because
reason.
tomorrow
Yeah.
could change an opinion based
Yes,
on something that
yes.
you hear.
Yes, absolutely. But affordability doesn't change all that much.
It
That's why
does
I
not.
wanted to make the point now.
It does not.
Yes.
All right, I relinquish, and thank you for your indulgences.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for that. And if you, I don't know, I think you've shared it in the past, but if you would share it again one more time.
Yeah, this is this has all of the
Oh, have you
charts
shared?
in it.
Yeah, so maybe if you would upload it and see what
Do you need your?
the NSA is kind of, that would be,
Should I say, email what I want to talk about tomorrow.
I'll do, I don't know if I'm gonna do it
that's fine.
until it's done, but I
No,
will.
no, sometime later, like a
Yeah, once
a
it's,
summer
once we kinda
project.
lock it, yeah,
a summer
absolutely.
project, yeah.
And I'd probably use Quad to see if there's a difference of opinion on it tomorrow.
All right,
Okay, here we
go to the second tab. All right, before we get into this, I'm gonna declare this isn't anything about people's job, what they're doing, not doing it. This is everybody doing their job perfectly. Okay, this is not a job slight. People aren't doing their positionals or anything else. I looked at salaries in positions that cross over.
Can we make this like a lot bigger possibly?
Make that a little bigger?
There we go.
So I looked at
The less room.
taking salaries and compared them to Newtown and New Milford, the two towns that touch us. They're bigger than us. And just to say, we're talking about pay increases and what we're looking to do. Again, this is not anything to do with any job performance. So if you look at the first selectman mayor, it's an easy one, and I only chose that because it was an easy one-line item, Steve. I mean, I'm not
It's
picking
really-
on
no,
you.
no, I know.
It's straight line, so I could,
It's only one person in that.
Right.
right, so I can show you're in the middle between Newtown and New Milford, right? You're in the middle. That doesn't mean it's right. I'm not saying that number's right. I'm just showing it. So let's go down now to the tax assessor. So now we're looking at our employees and saying, are they paid to what the levels they should be? If you look at the tax assessor, she's paid gonna be paid 111 with a three, whatever, a raise. She's still below Newtown and she's still below New Milford. And I think this is what you're trying to say is but then let's go to the departments. If you go to the department and what they're producing, Brookfield is 286, Newtown is 278, and New Milford is 252. So as a general group performing the task of task assessors for their town, we're higher than our two neighboring towns. Again, I'm not saying anybody's doing wrong jobs.
I'm sorry, where are you getting 252 and I'm
Yeah,
not seeing?
All the way to the right.
Right here.
Last
So
three
Steve, in our tax assessor's office, we have 4 employees.
Oh, okay,
These 4 employees
you're
with the
looking at the
raise add up
bottom,
to
yeah.
286.
okay,
Okay?
okay.
So now Newtown has 4 employees. They add up to 278. New Milford has 252. So we're higher than our 2 area towns performing their tax assessor's job. Again, you could pick individuals and say they're not paid to their
Yeah.
peers.
Right.
But we gotta look, I think, at this total saying the overall job. Now, I picked 2 towns. Brookfield has 17,500. Newtown 21,700. Now you could say, okay, houses are different, this and that. Brookfield has 6,000 houses. Newtown has 9,500, New Milford has 10,500. So there's a lot more houses. Then you can say, okay, businesses. Brookfield has 2,000, Newtown has double, and New Milford has double. So, or not quite double, but percentage-wise, higher. So this is what I'm trying to say is when we're looking at this salary thing as global, and we should look at it. Please don't take. We got to look at if we edge one, how are you going to manage these? Because why should we pay the most in our area for the duty? Now, you follow it down, you go down to the tax collector's office. Again, what happened here is we're now less, we're in the middle, but we moved the full-time to a part-time this year, which reduced that salary. So had that been there, we would have been closer to the highest in the area, again, to perform the tax collecting duty of the town. Now we go down to town clerk. I love everybody in the town clerk's office, don't get me. We pay $219 for that service, and Newtown pays $204, and New Milford pays $206 for their town clerking. Now, again, when you're trying to normalize the salaries, I understand. So you can say, oh, the town clerk makes less than Newtown, but makes more in New Milford. But yet, these 2 positions make more than the area towns. So as you take it as, you can't look at it as an individual, you have to look at this as the whole. And that's what gets me nervous about when we're starting to talk to department heads. Yes, we gotta get it right. Yes, they're all doing a great job. So I gotta, please don't anybody take this as a slight on performance. So now in the finance world, we're down here, we're 395, 438, and 390. So we're close to the bottom in the finance department, right? Did I do any purchasing? We're in the middle, 76, whatever. Did I do any more? Or those are just the ones. Those are the easy ones for me to grab,
Yeah.
Steve, because
Yeah.
I didn't have to dig into the departments.
Yeah, the only comment I would make on that is that we don't know, these are all union jobs except for the head person, the directors, right?
Yes.
Given inflation, given everything, we don't know when they're gonna renegotiate their contracts.
No,
So they might be getting, like we're giving two and a.
Oh, no, these are already in there. These are put in their budget. Oh, you're right, though. You're right. There
I'm
are
just
some,
saying
there
the
are some
assistance
apples
is
to
harder
pears
to-
here.
Yeah.
I will give, but as a general rule, I think we gotta be cognizant of
Sure.
the full department. And I do believe in Marcia's internal equity, she uses that term all the time. But I do think we gotta be cautious on how we spend that internal equity. Because we can't let these departments we should not be paying more than our area towns, the 2 they're touching that are bigger than us. We should be in the ballpark, maybe a little more. I'm not gonna dispute even a little more. But we shouldn't be 10% higher to produce the same services. And if we are, that leads to the next question of what are they doing differently than we're doing, what software are they using? it leads us to a lot more questions or intelligence. And it's not a slight, this is not anything about job performance. These are just raw numbers of what other towns are doing to perform the same services. That's all, I mean,
in business, you would do this and say, find the best practice and find what they're doing, and can we do something similar?
Exactly, yeah.
I don't have an answer.
No,
And I
it's just
didn't,
data. It's just
I
data.
didn't analyze,
Yeah.
I don't have an answer. I'm just saying, we need to be cognizant of this when we start to look at how we're gonna get our employees to levels. How do we manage this? I don't have answers. I'm not saying I do. But the data is what I've been looking at is, these are bigger towns. They have a lot more touches. That doesn't mean we're not busy here. We are busy here, so
Very
again,
busy, yeah.
but they're handling it too at a
Yeah.
higher level with the same amount of dollars. And I think, again, Brian led the point, better practices, or can we help these people in some way? Can we help our employees? I don't have answers, but I'd hate to see us get us skewed on this even more without thinking it through. Brian, go ahead.
Like, to your credit, and also it follows with Nahid's thought too, is there something that another town is doing on the AI level or on a computer program level where it allows for ease of those employees doing their job?
Right.
And, is that a best practice that'll allow the department to run smoother, more efficiently? And that's how we can implement. Now, implementing that might cost more in the budget because we have to pay for software, if we have to pay for this, we have to pay for that. But if that's helping us be a more efficiently run business, and it's
Yeah.
making our employees happier, and, they're not going, thinking about,
Yeah, I
I
see,
forgot
but
her name, when
this
she
would
came and she
require
said, I
a
need a
new-
computer because I had an Excel spreadsheet. The amount of time she was probably wasting on the Excel spreadsheet versus a software.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
don't
so stuff like-
disagree with you, Brianna, it would require much deeper
Oh,
dive.
absolutely, no, I know
To
this
see.
isn't something to be solved tonight,
What's
I
the
just
best
think it's
practice?
great, I
I mean,
think
we
it's
used to
just,
do that, what's the best
Yeah.
practice in the industry?
absolutely.
And if you get bounced out and you've got a number that's way over here, you say, somehow, we are not, either not using best practices, or we've made mistakes.
Right.
Right.
I'm not saying we made mistakes though, please don't, like. in
No,
this-
no, no, I'm
I-
talking
I
when
think-
you're talking
no, no,
about,
I think
Okay.
it's.
I
Going
think
to
it's
best
agreeing with
practices?
you, I think
So,
you're agreeing,
let me
you're
read
just
you the
saying,
disclaimer on the top of the Newtown budget, just so
Yeah.
we understand it. Non-union positions reflect an increase of 3% in this budget. All other full-time positions belong to town hall employees, nutmeg, independent labor union, salary wages, and for these union reflect an anticipated increase of 3%.
Mhm.
So they've anticipated a 3% and they're given 3%, but that's
so
the
there's no
disclaimer.
negotiation to that.
I'm just saying, this ties to your statement, but it's a disclaimer
Right.
on the data that I got. And all of
Right.
this data that I presented is all from the websites and all from the budgets from each of
Right.
these towns and line items. So this wasn't Glenn going like a CCM database. I went to the actual budgets. And I just think this plays into a little bit about what we were talking about earlier. We're not gonna get any details, but I would rather us personally, and Steve, you're the boss, and
Yeah.
I'm good with that. I'd personally like us to, before we did something huge, to really dive into this and to do it right. And to make sure it all balances a little bit, and maybe that's all I have to say. Naheed,
So I also did the forecast for the mill rate 5-year, and the assumptions were very conservative. But with the conservative assumptions of town operating growth at 3%, Board of Ed 4%, capital growth 2%,
I'm gonna show you the actual model, no, that's wrong.
you think the,
That whole model's wrong.
we're gonna go to Brian's
Yeah.
model
Okay.
next.
all right, so I think the point I was trying to make was that the mill rate growth in the next 5 years is what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
If we're not watching our increase year over year,
Yeah, we're in trouble.
we're in trouble, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Brian's model, the next thing we're gonna show in this
Yeah.
exercise tonight,
Yeah.
is we're gonna
So
plug
show it
numbers
next
in.
year, That's what I wanna show it to you.
I was gonna go with 5 years, now you got me in trouble next year.
So you've talked about how important this is, and I don't disagree. I think it's very important. And we've talked, and I wish Steve wouldn't leave right now.
He's coming here.
We've talked for a few years about trying to do it ourselves. And we haven't gotten to it, that is it important enough that we should put money in this budget to get an outside consultant to help at least with part of it, and then we spend our time doing a deep dive to say, because I don't think an outside consultant would go into what's the assessor's office doing different, and then we spend our time doing that deep dive on why are we different department by department.
Personally, I have not seen a consultant do a good job of that, ever.
I agree with Brian.
Yeah.
We looked at this 6 or 7 years ago, remember Glenn? Trying to
Yeah, no,
hire
I
a consultant.
remember it.
And the data they were gonna do, they were really just having somebody call different towns and
Yeah.
scrape data. If a consultant could come to us and say, listen, we're gonna really give you an analysis of benefits, retirement, everything. It just wasn't there. Now, that may be changed. My experience has been that consultants give you the information you tell them you wanna hear.
That's always.
Here's my view, you get Newtown and New Milford interested in doing a best practice review, you hire a summer intern.
Yeah.
It's not that
Let 'em
simple,
at it.
because I tell you, when I was going through, and you notice I only picked a few departments, because these were pretty straight line for me to follow.
Yeah, I
But
can
even
imagine
in this,
Public Works or,
It's hard to compare.
even within these, if you notice, I started to, I just put assessor tech and others, because I couldn't define all of the positions
The
in that
difference.
department and what they were doing, and I didn't have the job descriptions, and I didn't have, in fairness to everybody, I didn't have that. All I could do is to say, these 4 are assigned to this
Yeah, yeah.
department, and these 4 are getting the job done for that tax assessor's office, and that, I can't tell you what each of those do, what each of those
Right.
position.
For us, it doesn't matter, because only one of those is non-union,
Yeah, only one is non-union.
Right.
so,
So,
okay.
But
let me
to
put,
that
let me
point,
put
you
somebody
know-
on the spot here. Les has hired thousands of people over his career. How did you look at it when you were
Well,
hiring people? in
I
that
was
section?
thinking about that, just as I was looking at it, because I look at, Newtown, New Milford and Brookfield, and I'm thinking Danbury, Yonkers, Newington,
Right.
Norwalk and all that, and there are people with the same jobs, quote unquote, in each store, but each one is different based on the ability of not only their peers, but the people that they've got working for. We had Hewlett come in, Christ, 20 years ago, and the same thing happened. They, basically, it was, what do you want us to tell you? And that's what it came out. So we never had any luck with consultants, but we had luck with is, job sharing, similar to what Brian was just mentioned. If you can get an intern or somebody to work in one store for 6 months in one particular area, you pick up all the good things and the bad things, and they go to the next store or 2 people, and that's how we did it. We would just reduce expenses that way, efficiency of movement, things like that. I
And
can
for
imagine
salaries,
that.
how would you decide on salaries? I guess
Well-
if you're hiring entry level, if you're not
We
getting
had a
any
whole-
people coming in at X number per hour.
We had
so-
guidelines, industry
Yeah.
guidelines that we used based on the demographic of the
Okay.
store, based on other stores, Wegmans,
Mhm.
all the other,
And that information was available?
and that, yeah, we
Okay.
were always able to get that, and that's how we were able to steal people from other stores or other companies. We knew they were getting paid.
Yeah, I don't have an answer, I just think we need to be
Yeah, yeah.
cognizant of this.
Yes, yes,
And
and
that-
Yeah,
it's
it's
just being
important.
mindful, just being aware of it.
I can guarantee you this, we're gonna be incredibly thoughtful.
Yeah.
When we do this, when we negotiated with Public Works, we had a spreadsheet with 14 to 16 different things we're negotiating, with a cost attached to it,
Right,
right? So when we came to you, we had put about 50,000 in the budget, we came in at 53.
But let's go back to Marcia's point, though.
Sure.
What do you think if, just out of curiosity,
Yeah, yeah.
what do you think it would cost us, and what do you think we would get, Marcia? Because you've looked at this a few times, I know you have. I mean,
We had, the last time we looked was a few years ago, and we had talked about 7 local towns, and we were talking like 30 grand, that, and they would, we liked them the best. I mean, we've been looking at this for years, that, we liked that particular company the best. We might have another alternative, out there. So that's the only data that I have, but we have to do it, and we keep saying that we're gonna do it, and then, you know, we had this huge project come up 2 years ago that we couldn't do it, and then we were gonna say we're gonna do it, and then I had 2 grandbabies born. And so,
Life.
I think we need to say we are gonna do it. We're gonna do it in the next 3 months. But let's try to do it internally and do it step by step. And if something goes wrong, there's no more grandbabies and hopefully no more of that big project we did, that we might need help. I just don't wanna drop the ball on it.
I think we do a couple departments first, learn how that works, how it does, and then adapt, instead of trying to do it all at the beginning,
So,
because it never, it's just.
One of the things that I think across, everybody's talking about is that with AI, you can get at least 25 to 30% more productivity in your day by using the tools, right? So I think the idea is that everybody's trying to train people so that you don't have to add more people. The hiring kind of plateaus down, but upskilling and reskilling people is what happens across, what's happening.
But how do we define, like, how do we get the data that shows what area towns are paying about that same position? How do we grab that data without, because what happens is we get to these, certain departments put different people in different departments.
And they have different
and
job roles, and
it's-
this one does 3
I
things.
think
They're
right.
gonna wanna do it
Two
too,
of them.
they're gonna wanna do it too.
So again, I mean, I'm all for it, I mean, but how do we manage? I guess it's a topic for a different night. So
Another,
I
yes,
just
but
wanted
we
to be-
just- Yeah,
I just wanted us to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
cognizant of that
Yep.
yeah,
when you
yeah.
go into and I get what Marcia said, there's union positions and what you said reiterated, but we still gotta be cognizant of, we can't pay $300,000 for to get a service that other towns are paying $250 for. That's counterproductive in the big picture,
Yeah.
and we can't sustain that, that's,
And maybe we need to make investments to make that happen, so good, let's know what those are.
right,
Right.
that's all my point was.
Yep, good
All
luck.
right,
Next thing?
you're on
So,
next.
The model.
Since I was, yes. Yeah, we've seen that. Okay, give me a second, so we can, I got too small so I can see to begin with. So, I'm not gonna show, so the model itself, if you remember, there's our 10-year, don't look at the numbers, 10-year
Can't see that.
expenditures, revenue, blah, 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 I don't want you to see it, right? But this is built just like our current year budget for 10 years.
Can we make it a little bigger?
Yeah, I don't want you to
Oh,
see that.
thank you.
So,
Whoa.
so I want you
It's
to
a
see
secret,
this,
it's a secret.
right? So, because it doesn't, this is
secret
where the
probation.
discussion has, right? And we can change things on the fly. So what this shows is, it has the numbers that we just talked about for the upcoming budget already reflected in it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
With maybe, close enough. And then for the years, for the after years, I've got the town in at 3.7, we can change that. I've got the Board of Ed in at 4.5 because we know, at least for the next couple of years, what it's gonna be. No money in for new police stations, community centers, anything like that. And a normal 0.8% grand list, like, that's one of the things, needed in your models, the grand list increase, which is crazy, that's why, and that's a major,
It's a big number.
yeah, it's a big sensitivity point.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you look at this, and there's kind of the 359 we were just seeing on the other chart,
Mhm.
we actually have a bit of a problem in the next 2 years. Next year, 5.14 is about $1 million problem.
Yes.
If you solve that, the 28-29 issue is about a $1.5 million problem, because the prior year goes down, so it makes it next year worse, right? And then after that, it's okay. But by then, we'll be putting in a new police station.
Right, we're adding it, right.
Right.
So go ahead and throw that police station in there.
So,
Yes.
Just
so
now.
if we,
Yes.
what do you want, we'll put in 23 million, what do you want to put in?
I
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it.
23 is a
23
good
million.
number.
Two
Yep.
point three, it's like 2.3.
Oh, that's a
23
bargain.
million.
20.
Sign up now.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden you created more problems. There's a lot more red.
There's a
This,
lot more red.
this is what I've been trying to get to.
I'd
and-
like to
and-
say it's pink, not red.
Okay, and maybe it didn't come across properly, and I apologize. This is what I'm afraid of if we get a runaway train. We're gonna turn more years down the road red, and we have no recovery. Because the recovery thing is, we just can't say, oh, we'll just add more in. The town has to vote it,
That's right.
right? So we just can't say, all right, we knew it was coming, we're gonna 6% this year, and don't worry about it, and it's all good, and we don't have that say as investors per se of, we got extra money, we're gonna get a capital guy in, he's
Yeah.
gonna give us
You know,
influx of cash. So this is the whole crux of what drove me to maybe get a little over the line with the Board of Ed is, we can't turn these blocks red. Because this is, think about it, this is 23 million for a police station, but this is no issues. This is no, anything happened
Yeah.
along the way. This is best case scenario math. And so now, I've got to put another thing in there, like we we're talking about. I mean,
2 years later,
yeah, put it in there.
where should I put it? I don't know, I have no,
Put 50 million in there, that's low even. That's gonna be low, I'm sure.
15, I'm gonna be zeros.
There you go, you got it.
I think
Now
it's-
you're talking some big numbers that
Yeah,
you're gonna
yeah.
be paying out. This is again where the push was, hey, so now move the BOE number down to 3.9.
4, yeah, or 3.9, that's fine.
What am I doing in the right box?
You're not, yeah.
I can make it miles, I just can't type.
It didn't move anything.
No?
It's not, because it's only 0.6, it'll move something, right? So let's look, so
You're not
the
gonna
4,
move
7.
Yeah, it did move.
It went
It
to
did-
four
it did
seven, it
move
went from
somewhere.
5.14
It
to
was,
4.7.
there was 3
Yeah.
5 point something.
Oh,
and they
okay,
moved.
all right.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It's not
what's
good.
the green range?
Now-
375?
Now move the town down to
Anything below what?
3.5 or
Brian?
3.4.
What was the green range? Anything below 4%?
Oh, my view is, yeah, the green range is less than 4 of a.
Less than 4, okay.
increase, yes, and less than 100% debt as a percent of revenue, and less than 10% debt as a percent of expenditures, or greater than 10 is
Okay,
good.
so,
what do you want?
no, 3% there, do 3% there, and do
Yeah.
3.5 on the school side.
Which is probably about as low as you're gonna get.
Right.
Still
We've got a
red.
lot, we're still red and we're
But
still
the-
high in other,
But if you solve this one, so let's say you take $1 million out here, then you probably can survive this
Still
year.
stay in the
So,
green
so
on
then we
20,
really need to put, we really need to think about it now, in
Right.
this budget cycle.
But that's what,
to-
yeah.
Yes.
But the concern now
What you were
is
saying for health insurance.
what happens with the, they can't have a 3.5% increase in the
This is the
following
problem.
year because of the teacher
because of the
contract,
salary.
right?
This was the knock on, I told them they didn't think through years 2 and 3, and I got
So
hammered for it, but I
There's
mean,
no way we
this
could
is
ever
the
be
thing.
3.5.
they can't
Yeah.
make this model
You
work
start
with
at
their current
4.5.
contractual obligations
At the same number of
They-
people.
at the same number of people.
So
But
I
we're
think
not
the,
sure
I
of
think
that.
the question, the conversation now is that we have to be under 4, we cannot be above 4. And how do we get there?
But I don't think they can with the contractual
No,
obligation.
it would make,
All right.
it would
But
make
let's-
change.
flip this-
Yeah,
hold on.
you're right.
Go ahead.
Let's flip it the other way, right? So after we close this year, we should look at this again and say, for next year, given what we know, and try to come up with a game plan for the next couple of years, and tell the board what's affordable. Board then what's affordable, that's our job, let's give them the high, you don't wanna
Give
give us
them
a
the
10-year plan,
affordability
we're
of
gonna
it.
give you
Yeah.
a 10-year plan.
Exactly.
You mean give them a percentage that's affordable?
That's exactly,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Just say this
All right.
is the
This is
affordable
what it
percentage?
is, yes,
Let's do one, yes, I like it.
Yes,
yes,
Before-
I agree.
yes.
But let's go back, now you said that 3.5 number, 5.9 number ties into something.
That was when we made all our changes, and took
Yeah.
out the contingency.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I stuck another half, 50K in from Board of Ed. It's-
So what
that's
if we reduce the Board of Ed, and we look to reduce the town a little bit more this year? What does that do for the whole big model picture?
All it does is.
Nahid's thing is, if we front end this
Yeah.
savings, does it help
Does it
us
help any,
on
hurts.
affordability?
It hurts.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, then that's a fair.
But I'll do it, no, let's just do it. Give me
So
some-
we
How
still
much you
have
wanna
the
take out?
1.43
I
million,
don't know enough.
that we could use in multiple ways. We've used it in terms of, we've front-loaded our capital, we've invested in capital this year, but
Yeah, to take $1 million out next year, one of the things we'll look at is, can we really grow the capital as much? That's the first easy place
You're
to
right.
look.
Yeah.
You're right, and because
No
we,
question.
and because we did front load a lot of it this
Right.
year, maybe that will help
that-
us next year.
Will.
Exactly,
Right,
yes.
well, then we
With
should
that.
look at,
We
now
have,
also,
we're gonna have like the Board of Ed baked in costs that we can't change.
Right,
Yeah.
right. No, but,
We then look at capital.
within their budget, they will
as a
have. their own-
variable. right?
And then
Right,
we
this
have
year,
to-
we're still using 440,000 of one-time
Whatever you
sources.
want.
Next year, we're assuming none, so if we underrun our budget, maybe there's a little bit of help towards the millionaire. I think $1 million is in the realm of manageability if we don't get based on how salary negotiations go, and if the
Yeah.
Board of Ed can actually make some structural changes to offset the fact that they're, that he's been talking about. We're not out of the hunt in the first year. Well, we take out 100,000,
Wait, but
200,000.
let me ask you something, Greg. Wouldn't you wanna run up this year to, as close to 4% if you can to offset?
The math says yes.
Yeah,
I don't recommend it.
okay.
And I'll tell you why. So that's tomorrow's discussion,
Yeah.
but so this year, as we go to talk to the town, our debt service is down $1.4 million. We have the best mill rate growth that we're gonna have in a while. And our increase is gonna be the same as the last 3 years.
No,
That's
but
not doing
we're
our
also
job.
investing
No, the
10
load
million,
carry
we're
is
also
gonna be too
investing
much.
10 million in capital projects,
No,
which is
The load carry.
a great year for us in terms of investing in capital
Again,
projects.
but if I'm a citizen, and that's what we're doing tomorrow, I apologize, I can shut me up tomorrow.
Fine, we're
This is our
having
best,
a conversation.
Yeah,
Shut up.
you just
yeah.
built all these apartments, I should be getting tax benefit because you're doing all that, right? You got this debt going down, and my taxes are going up just as much as always, or investing more. Don't! I want my taxes low,
I-
right? That's what they're gonna say.
No, I'm completely with you, but I think the conversation here is that we're also spending 10 million in capital investment, so.
Yeah, but of the 10 million, about 3.5 is someone else is paying for, so be careful with the numbers.
Right, but still, we are doing more than we do.
Absolutely.
Right, so I think the 1.43, in my mind, is that's where we've kind of channeled it, right? It's kind of, we're investing more in the
And,
capital.
well, really what happened is, even though it's gone down, it was high before, but we used ARPA money and everything else so that it didn't feel as high as it was.
Right.
So we just stopped using those benefits, so they're not really getting help from the 1.4.
No.
Because we covered that 1.4, the higher numbers in previous years using one-time sources.
Right,
That's
right,
the real answer.
Right.
There are towns that use the ARPA money to fund salaries of permanent employees.
Yes, we
And
did.
they're looking at
We
7,
did good.
8,
We're
9%
the
increases
second lowest
without
town right now
reducing
from
salary.
what I've
No,
researched.
we're doing
For what?
amazing.
Mill rate?
We're doing amazing, yes.
At the
yes.
moment, but things will change.
Yeah, the question is, we have to continue to do amazing, and that's where we have to kind of,
But that's where the struggle is, and that's
Yeah,
where I guess
yeah.
our disconnect was with the Board of Ed, is the way they structured their teacher salary contract is contradictory to, would have fit our model. We would have been better straight lined.
We would have been better straight lined.
Even at the same percentage, we would have been better straight lined. They had in their idea that this was a better way to handle the finances in their area, but yet it's not helping us in our area in the overall picture of meeting the goals.
They
And this is-
backloaded
The
the
back-
salary increase.
Right, so this year it don't look so bad, next year it creeps a little bit in the creep, but that creep on our side of looking at the big picture distorts us. It doesn't allow us to manage as like we'd like to manage, and I think that's where a lot of my angst and everything else came from, is I know these numbers, I play with Brian's model, I do this in the Saturday morning when I'm having coffee, hey, what if we did this, what if we did that? And this is my scare of, and that's also, they don't have anything built in like emergency into their budget either. So now, what happens if something comes up? Then whatever we've invested now, it's all taken down the following year. It just gets dismantled because you can't afford your contractual, so you either gotta get rid of teachers, like Brian's saying.
I
or-
said teachers.
Well, no, students, I apologize, no,
Not
I'm wrong.
students.
No, but I'm saying,
70%
no,
of their budget is people.
I'm just saying something
rest
has
is
to
fixed.
give, I apologize,
No,
wrong
no,
term,
no, no.
but something has to
Yeah,
give
something
that
has
could
to
be
give.
detrimental to their overall being.
Yeah.
And we don't have control on the outside to say, just give them the 6%.
Yeah, and I'll say the opposite. They have to be really focused on structural changes that keep their services the same or better, but reduce cost. And they have to be maniacal on that going for the next couple
And
of
that's
years.
where our disconnect has been.
I think the new super is
I-
talking that.
I'm telling you, it's gonna change. We'll work together. and
I
we'll-
didn't say it wasn't gonna change, I'm just saying that's where our disconnect has
Yeah,
been.
but I think
Well,
Brian,
yes.
the statement you just made is perfect, and just write it down, remember it, record it. But that's really the message to tomorrow night, even if you throw this up. Sometimes, I'm a very visual learner,
Yeah,
so
this-
like I can
this
hear
help.
what everybody says,
Yeah.
but I can't always put
See,
it together
yes.
unless I see it.
Agreed.
But sometimes when you see something, you don't like, that's why it took me back for a second when I said it. I said, but wait a minute, we can't do that. So this could be a great thing tomorrow night to be able to just throw up and go, this is our angst, this is our concern,
This is why.
this is why we're just wanting you to understand why it won't work. And then, like you said, maniacal. You know, the best way you said it. So how do you invest? How do you make it work? But reduce, same
Structure it,
offer,
right.
same level, and structure it.
Right.
That's a huge task at hand, one that may require a lot of thought and a lot of hard work to
Right.
get it across the finish line. And as
And we work,
Naheed would
we
say,
work
we
with
have
you, we all
faith
work together and.
that we
make
will work
And
together.
it's not hard to say, look,
It's
if we
not.
decide 3.5 is affordable, saying, given your salary, which is
Right.
already locked in, given a reasonable estimate for inflation and benefits and all that, how much structural savings do you have to come up with to make that number? It's a pretty quick calculation.
But that 3.5 right there, right,
Yeah.
that mid, no, just saying, that doesn't include a health benefit increase, it doesn't include a gas, because we're gonna get gas price
By
crisis.
definition,
We're
it
gonna-
does, it has to include that.
No, by definition it does, but right now, we showed in the
So,
look-ahead model, that's where they're sitting now.
Right,
Without
yeah.
anything, you throw in a 1% health, which we always know 1% is health, that's minimum, you're at 4.5, then you
That's
throw
why
in.
I'm just hoping
we
it
got-
was at 4.5.
Right. And this is what I'm trying to say, is this is where, if we don't start looking at things now, we're gonna get too far into this, and we can't unwind.
Right.
And also,
If we're not careful, we're gonna find ourselves in a world of hurt.
correct, and
Yeah,
this is a slippery slope, because if you don't invest in capital, and you don't invest in making sure things stay fresh in town and things get, you know, taken care of, painted, renewed,
Can't neglect
refreshed,
that.
whatever, you
Yeah.
can't neglect
And
that.
we have
because
been,
that-
we have been neglecting
and
it for
have
many
been,
years. We're not
and
now.
how,
That's the old Midas
and-
commercial,
right.
pay me now or pay me later.
Right,
I
and,
forgot about
and in
that. You're right.
addition, not trying to bring up, not trying to beat a dead horse, but also not being able to get a project over the finish line for several years, costing more money, because inflation happens and all that. So there's a lot of moving, working parts that we
Yeah.
are all, as the people at this table, concerned about.
Marcia, you've been quiet, your thoughts, throw them in there.
No, I'm just obsessing that my percent increase on taxes is different.
Is that why
We
you're
lost
stewing
Marcia.
there?
We lost Marcia as soon as her percentage
Marcia,
didn't
we'll spend
work.
5 minutes,
She's
you'll
gonna
correct
lose
my
you.
error.
Usually when you get this quiet,
That's
you're
what
mad
you
at me
guys-
for something.
Oh, no, no,
Notorious for that.
I'm thinking in my
Notorious.
head, what,
We can find it really quick, I'm so
Yeah,
good at timing these out now.
Les, your thoughts on all what we're talking about?
I'm just listening and learning.
Yeah, and by the way, the discussion we're having on the school side, we have to do on the town too. Your point
Yes.
on the departments is a analysis on can we make structural changes that will reduce, it's the same thing, it's just the town side. So we
Right.
have to do that.
But that, I
too.
guess that's where I came across, was, I'm trying to implement the same on both sides,
Yeah.
I'm thinking
Right,
ahead, it's
right.
not picking on one side.
Yeah.
This is already implementing in our thought process on the town side, and I'm always trying to
You did
figure.
the same thing with Bertha, and you did the same thing today with town. So you're
picking on
showing,
anything.
you're
We're not.
showing
No.
us, where
And,
can
you know,
we,
yeah, you're right. And for many, many years, the town, rightly or wrongly, did this 1 year at a time.
Yeah.
And then they kept on pushing projects off because you
Yeah.
need to get it under, like we wanted a track at the high school. We asked them for 10 years for a track.
yeah,
And they just didn't have the money because they weren't doing that long-term
right,
planning.
right, right.
Which
Right, it was
is a
just a
credit
different world.
to the leadership and Marcia.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Marcia showing us the way as well. I mean, this is, I guess, what we have to do, not just in our room, in every room. And this is what we need to do in every room. Because we can't work in silos, we can't make decisions, even though it's their money, you know, whatever. We have to work in a way forward that everything makes sense to the big picture of Brookfield. Because if we don't, we got a problem, and it affects all of Brookfield. You know, if the, just say, and I'll just give an example, and maybe wrong, the Board of Ed needs 6% next year and you only need 3%. The town's voting down the budget. You go down with the ship, and then it gets to a point that we have to reduce you, not reduce you, depending on the questions and how we analyze the questions and everything else. But the town's voting down the budget,
We
it's
also-
higher, maybe 7, I'm saying, maybe not quite that way.
And
Yeah,
We know it's somewhere between 4
I found
and 5 where we really hit that friction point.
right, and
And people start,
get loud.
Change.
to your credit that nobody could hear you talking, but we could see it on the thing, we do know that the
Demographic.
the demographic has changed, so
Yeah.
people that are here that are
Yes.
over 65, they are not as invested in the school.
Absolutely.
They're invested in their tax money and their dollars, so
They're
that's a
invested-
big friction point for them.
Yes.
You know, and it's hard, it's like,
It is.
listen, my son's not in school anymore, so,
They're invested in what they
I
think is a
get it.
fair number.
right.
Yeah.
They're invested in,
affordability.
right, they're invested in, okay, they would rank could be 3, but 4 is affordable, you know, acceptable, I understand it. I can go to the grocery store, I understand certain percentages.
Right.
But when you start getting above that, and then, again, I know I went across, but then if they can't justify some of their numbers, and that gets out too, it's like, well, they don't know what they're doing, and it's not a matter of them not knowing, it's a matter of the justification.
And
Yeah,
I'll never
and the
forget what Brian
balance.
said, like a year or so back is, what did you were sitting next to me and you said, you know, Social Security went up X amount of percent. And, you know, we need to, right,
last
remember?
year.
you-
2.8% this year, I was gonna make. I'm glad someone listens to me in here, I would like to, thank you.
Say it better, cause you say it better than me every time, go for it.
Well, it's a philosophy of mine, even though we can't implement it. This year, Social Security has gone up 2.8%. Any senior that's living on Social Security, any increase to the town taxes over 2.8% means more of their money on a relative basis is going to pay tax than can go to food and
Wipes it out.
healthcare and anything, right? So
Absolutely.
I'll never forget
anything
you said
amount
that
over
one year.
2.8 is a burden on people who are primarily living on Social Security.
And to Glenn's point, the dynamic and
The
demographic have
demographic is-
shifted.
yeah.
So that's all I just, I'm
And
not,
the shift continues to shift, so we
And-
gotta
and
keep the focus.
My
So I think
opinion
that
is,
needs to be our-
you
one of
look
our
at that
things tomorrow, too.
2.8%, and you ask anyone over 65 to say if that was reasonable, does that keep them even? And they're going to say no.
No.
Yeah.
The price of
I
food,
need
Yes.
taxes
The price-
lower, cause I
the
gotta
price
pay
of
more
food
for
is-
food.
I just paid $6 a pound for hamburger at Costco. A year ago, I was paying $3.89 a pound.
I just bought groceries for one child that came home for 1 week from college and it was $639.
I absolutely believe
Where
it.
did you get your steaks?
I was blown away.
I
It was
absolutely believe it.
hamburger meat,
Go to
ground
Stu
chicken.
Leonard, you save a
It's like-
money.
But anyway, but
I
yeah,
think we're good
We
now,
are.
I think we're at a good point.
We are great
It's
at
9:10, I think we can finish tomorrow, I think we make a point that we finish tomorrow.
Okay.
I mean, even if we gotta run to 9:30, I don't see it happening.
I think we're so
No, I'm
close.
just saying,
So
we're
close.
gonna make a dedication to finish tomorrow, we're not gonna meet on Friday.
I might be a little late, but
That's
I'm
all right.
coming.
I'd make
So
a
there's
motion
One
that we
other
finish
thing,
tomorrow.
and I think we're tired, but I would love if people could humor me for 10 or 15 minutes for me to flash through the charts I plan on showing on Tuesday and just see if you think I'm missing something. So I could do that today, tomorrow. That's it.
Tomorrow, I think we're gonna have a less day tomorrow, I really do. I believe
I don't
in,
think we're gonna talk to DOE and we're gonna go
that's
back
how I
and-
feel.
And that's it.
Right,
Yeah.
I do feel that, so I mean, I don't think we have any contentious
One of the
points.
things we should also keep in mind, you know, the plan that the superintendent brought forward, that we think has some risk to it, of bringing students inside, in
Yeah.
town. If you look at his projection, that's a huge savings.
Yeah, that's been
Now,
okay.
something to think about.
Yeah. It's been updated, it's changed.
It is, but
Yeah, that's okay.
So,
Yeah.
It's right,
it's how it gets
but there is a
implemented.
reward.
right. I think tomorrow we're going to talk about it, so we
Yeah,
can.
we can talk about it
Talk
more
about it
detail.
more
All right,
Yes,
let's not,
yes.
All right, go around the table, Les, closing points, you good with everything?
Yes,
Where
sir.
do you stand? You
I'm-
good?
I'm good, I understand a lot more than I did when I walked in here.
And you think we can finish tomorrow? You don't have any
I
outstanding
made a motion
issues?
that we finish tomorrow, nobody seconded though.
I'll
All right.
second.
John, where
Yeah.
do you feel? Comfortable
I
where
feel
we're at?
good, yeah.
Comfortable on, like, pretty much where we're landing, just a few talking points, we
Yeah.
close it out. Brian?
Yeah, I think we've done a hell of a job so far.
All right, perfect. Naheed?
Good.
Brianna?
I particularly appreciate the models and Naheed's AI effort there, that's
Yeah.
something that I'm sure we're gonna use a lot more of.
Yeah, we'll learn more, but I think Brian,
Well,
when
if
he does
you,
his
once,
summer.
once you train it, if you get this more information
Right.
into it,
I will,
Yeah.
right.
I think the assumptions need to be defined where you can.
that's the point, once you
yeah,
get all that in
yeah,
there,
yeah.
it's
we've
real,
used it a
it's
few
not
times to summarize an hour-long meeting, and mother of God, here's the
It-
topics
it
that were
does,
discussed,
yes.
here's the decision points that were made, here's so-and-so's gonna do this, so-and-so.
Right.
It-
It is.
I will say this, and I'll say it in public, I think it's the outside work that people invest their time in on this board that makes us stronger. A little bit of extra efforts on the outside to get to detail, to put their hands around. We had 4 examples tonight. You brought your AI example. Brianna did her research on the the license plate, Brian's models.
Mhm.
You know, I did some research, the
Yeah.
two new guys are learning in this process.
I read the research
So,
today.
well, you did actually, so I gotta give you, so what
Yeah.
I'm saying is, I think this is what brings us to a
Yes.
point that we can make decent decisions, and I wanna thank you all for doing that. So on that note, I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn, do we have a second?
Here.
Yes.
Les, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank y'all.